Jimmy Snow called me a day ago, and he said, "Hey man, can you fill in for me?" And I said, "Totally," because I'm a good friend like that. But then I sat down at this chair right here, and I remembered that I had to come up with a song, and I didn't. And so now the show will begin without one. We're live! Welcome, everybody, one and all. I'm your host, Forrest, and only Forrest. Welcome to the Forrest Show, hosted by Forrest. I'm Forrest. And today, we're going to be taking calls from your MAGA grandpa. We're going to be having calls from your uncles, from your family, from your friends, from your coworkers, from your bosses, from all these folks that voted for Trump because it benefited their bottom line without any regard whatsoever to the long-lasting and generationally damning impacts that it would have on their friends, neighbors, community members, especially people who are different from them, because, you know, the leopards are never going to eat their face, right? We're going to be taking calls from those folks, and we're going to prove one thing in this show, as we prove every single time we do this show. And the thing we're going to prove is that MAGA has no morals. They have no values. They have no ideals. They have no goals. They have no plans. They have nothing that they themselves actually stand for. What they have is blind loyalty to their God King Trump and hatred for everybody that Trump tells them to hate, most specifically trans people and non-white immigrants. That's who they are told to hate, and they do that really, really well. So we're going to show today a little bit about how that works by taking calls from Trump supporters, from MAGA folks, and just asking them basic questions, letting them guide and steer the call, letting them decide what it is that we start the conversation with. But by the end of the conversation, I guarantee it, because it happens every single time, they will tell us, "Oh, I stand for this thing, and I demand that the government blah blah blah, and I believe in these principles and these American ideals." And then they will demonstrate that they don't actually care about any of those things, because when Donald Trump does that, it's okay. And when immigrants stand up for those same principles, that's wrong. And what it really just genuinely comes down to is whatever Daddy Trump says and whatever will hurt trans people and non-white immigrants. That's the actual base, the actual platform for the MAGA cult. They are an un-American, anti-constitutional, anti-freedom cult centered around who can lick Donald Trump's nuts the hardest. And if you want to prove me right on that, not only do you just have to listen to the show, because when we get callers, that's what it's going to be, but also just tune in to right-wing political ads right now. Listen to any Republican running for office right now and what they have to say. I live here in Oklahoma, unfortunately. We have this fucking absolute spineless, brainless, gutless, dickless, feckless, useless worm of a representative named Kevin Hern. A guy who has never had a thought that he was not explicitly authorized to have by someone in authority over him. And that dude's running for re-election again, and he's going to win, because this is the reddest state in the union. And if just half of the people who were registered to vote and refused to show up for the last election were to show up and vote blue, this entire red government in this state would be out, and we would have the most leftist state in the fucking country. But of course, everybody here believes that their vote doesn't matter and that there's nothing they can do to change anything. And so it doesn't, and so they can't, because they've decided as much and they don't try. Anyway, this dude's running for re-election again. I saw one of his ads on TV the other day. He said his own name 2 times. He said Donald Trump's name 6 times. This dude talks about Trump 3 times more than he talks about himself in his own ads, because he wants his base to know that he is firmly affixed to Donald Trump's taint and nothing will ever remove him. And that is the only selling point that he has. No values of his own, no morals of his own, no policy ideology, no ideas, no plans, nothing. that he can offer besides, I like Trump and Trump likes me and Trumpy Trump Trump. And if you like Trump, then you should Trump with me. We'll Trump together. Trumpity Trump Trump. That is the entire platform of so many of our representatives, so many of our members of Congress right now. And you see who's winning. You know, it is just a cult, and we're living in a country that's being destroyed by them, as we see right now with the first data center that was just approved to be built on public lands, as we say with the massive destruction and sell-off of public lands, of national monuments, Bears Ears and Grand Staircase, reduced by around 90% of their size, to be given over to the people, you know, that because that's public lands don't belong to the people, don't you know? And that means that oil companies, coal companies, natural gas companies, data centers, AI companies, big tech, they can now build their facilities there, destroy those environments, further contribute to environmental racism by destroying small towns, people of color, building on near reservations, destroying local waterways, polluting local water systems, corrupting and destroying arable land, and contributing more and more to the degradation of information in our society as these same companies continue to buy up rare books and destroy them after training their AI with them to make sure that nobody else has the information that they have and has the AI that they have. And more people don't know what is and what isn't AI. And more people don't know what is and isn't fake. And more people can't trust the government that we have and the institutions that we have, because our government is making damn sure to sell the lie that our institutions are corrupt and untrustable, and then also make that lie into a reality by firing everybody who works for those good institutions and replacing them with cronies whose entire goal and purpose is to make those institutions functionless and untrustworthy and corrupt. You can go right now on government websites and see propaganda about how the evil leftist Democrats are tearing our country apart, and see real, actual government publications that violate, what is that? Now that you're back, that Hatchet Act. I can't remember the name of the one act that Hatch Act. I'm pretty sure it is, that specifically says that government resources can't be used for partisan bullshit, and that's what we see all the time now on government websites. And we have the same, every accusation remains a confession. Trump complained about so-called witch hunts, where people were using the justice system against him because they had their own political vendettas against him. And now what are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing? With every person that we don't like, we're going to have a whole fucking witch hunt, a trial, there's a bullshit congressional hearing to prop up further lies. What do we see with every new nominee coming in to work for the Trump administration when they are asked on the House floor, hey, who won the election in 2020? And they cannot answer the question because they are not allowed to have those thoughts. Yep. They are in service of the God King Trump. That is all they're allowed to do. And we see this more and more and more. And I get comments when I complain about it from MAGA cultists who tell me, like, listen, I didn't vote for this, all right? I voted for blah, 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 blah. You know, I voted for protect my rights and my land and my money and my business and the baby. When you talk about this stuff about the racism and the war and the blah, I didn't vote for that. Yes, you fucking did. He told you exactly who he was. It pisses me off more than anything else. This I didn't vote for this bullshit. He told you exactly who the fuck he was. He showed you in his last term exactly who the fuck he was. Before this last election, you knew that he was a liar, that he was a con man, that he was a creep, that he was a criminal, that he was a rapist, that he was a racist. You knew all these things. It had been solved. We had court cases about it. He was found guilty of rape before the election. He had been sued for racial discrimination practices in his business well before the election. He had lied thousands of times, confirmed, before the election. He had been showing you over this shit that I was just talking about, national monuments. He did that in his last term. Joe Biden reversed it. He did it before. Fuck you mean I didn't vote for it? It's the same fucking thing he did last time. And we have Project 2025, which he said, I don't know anything about that, and then immediately started fucking appointing the people who drafted it to his cabinet. Are you fucking stupid? Yes, you are, because you voted for Trump. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you knew exactly what this guy was. If you say you didn't, then you're too stupid to fucking vote. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to say you shouldn't do it, but I'm going to strongly encourage you to stay the fuck away from a voting booth until you learn how to read. Like, that's, I'm begging you. Figure out how this shit works before you go tick another box, because you're hurting everybody. With that, Lux is here to save you from my ongoing rant. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing all right so far. It's really funny because I was just producing Takis, and the whole time I was just like, please let me do my math homework. All I want to do is my math homework.
Is that synthetic division you're doing right now?
Yeah, we're just,
hell yeah.
It's just quadratic shit.
Dude, synthetic division was my favorite.
It's so easy. Yeah. It's funny how little time it takes for you to become an alien if you like math even a little bit. Yeah. So, and especially I have to take a lot of it. So it's good that I like it because I'm going to be doing it for a couple years.
Yeah. I'm going to let you continue on for a second. Before I got here, my wife brought me this massive bowl of delicious looking watermelon. And now the show has begun because I was fixing lights in the meantime. So I'm going to go put this away. And then I'm going to, by the way, I don't know if non-country folk know this. I live in Oklahoma and I have my whole life, but like if you go to Walmart and you buy a watermelon, you don't know what the fuck watermelon tastes like. You go find the older the better, a very old man on the side of the road with a flatbed truck full of watermelon, which is loose melons, and that will be the best thing you've ever fucking tasted. We were down in Broken Bow, which is the very bottom of the state, right in the middle of this huge, beautiful pine forest, huge lakes everywhere. It's a wonderful place. And just a man who I think he probably died a few years ago and nobody told him. Just this old man selling melons. And we bought so many of them and drove them back up here to Tulsa. And we've been just snacking on these things forever. They're so good. Anyway, I'm going to go put this away. If you'll fill in for me and Vant for just a moment, and then we'll jump in. We already got some folks coming in the screening. So we'll talk to them pretty soon. By the way, number on the screen there, 336-543-2101. If you think that anything that I was saying there is untoward and that MAGA is actually not anti-American and not anti-Constitution and not anti-freedom and not anti-democracy, this is your chance to pick up that phone and prove me wrong. It'd be great to talk to you. We'll do a lot of fun. We'll play clips from Donald Trump. Oh, and also, just throwing this out there, Israel's committing genocide in Gaza, and Donald Trump is literally actually a fascist, and ICE are literally actually Nazis. And I'm going to throw those out there as well to continue to attract people who want to say that I'm wrong about that. Boy, do I have receipts, and I haven't been hosting the show for a minute. I've been out of town, so I'm very excited to show you these receipts. Be right back, y'all.
Nice. Okay, so also, I'm a transgender. So if you want to talk about trans topic, that's something that I'm open to doing. Also, I've been really wanting to hammer on the abortion topic recently. I've got some arguments that I've been using that I want to keep trying to flesh out and kind of see how people respond to them. So yeah, listen, we are disgusting, leftist, liberal, commie, anarchist, socialist. Take your pick. Lots of these words apply to many of our hosts, and particularly myself and Forrest tonight. So, come on, talk to us. Oh my God, losing my words. Oh, also, if you're just here hanging out, you got to hit the like button. Okay. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. You are supporting the show directly in a way that we immediately get more calls when you do that. So please do that. Check your bell notification settings and all that jazz. And just touch the screen as many times as humanly possible overall. Do we read super chats? Sometimes. We're kind of capricious about it on this show, right?
I'm not gonna.
Okay, no promises on super chats tonight.
I won't give them the satisfaction.
Yeah. We're here to talk to MAGA. Let's go.
That's us. Out of curiosity, are we still live? Because I am currently unable to connect with the chat. And I would love to know if that's a thing that's still happening.
We seem to be live, as far as I can see.
It looks like
Yes,
just Chatsburg. I just pulled up.
live.
Yeah, I just pulled up the stream and it's live. It's running as we are speaking, and then the chat box is just a monkey with a hammer saying something went wrong. So none of you get to speak to us in the chat settings. You
I
or
do
the chat,
see,
whatever.
yeah, chat disconnected, and it's connected. I've reconnected now, but it did hiccup for a second there.
You have reconnected. Well, I'll keep doing that because I want to hear what the insane people that follow us have to say. There we go. I've got it now. Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm going to put you guys over here so I can see that. Welcome to the show. It's this.
The whole time.
We've got two folks, and I'm particularly excited about line number 2, so I'm going to jump right into that if that's cool with you.
Go for it.
Okay, give me 2 seconds here. Let me set that going. And we're going to talk first to Farev, pronouns he, him, who is a MAGA person who says that the American political left is more racist than the political right. Let's talk about it. Farev, you're on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Fine, thanks. Before everything, I'm really happy to be with you guys. I have been in this show before, but Forrest, you are my favorite, so I'm happy. I just wanted to say that I am an immigrant, and
Okay.
Oh, did we lose the caller? I think we lost them.
It says that it's gone from both call-in studio and our thing, so it's likely that he hung up. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
Well, if they call back, we will get them back in.
We'll bring him back on if he calls back. I want to hear why someone who says that he himself is an immigrant would vote for somebody who is out here spreading the lie that, you know, immigrants are eating dogs and cats and stealing people's pets to make food out of that. Like, I want to know what that person has to say about Donald Trump talking about how immigrants aren't real humans, they're subhuman animals. And when Donald Trump said that immigrants have inferior genes that make them more likely to commit crimes, I want to hear what he has to say about that. I would love to hear all of these things. So let's talk next to Joe, who is listed as conservative but not MAGA. Joe, you are on the line here with Forrest and Lux. How are you doing today?
What does MAGA even mean?
It means make America great again. But really quick, Joe, while we have you on here, I have you listed as conservative. Is that correct?
You like to use the label, so I'm just wondering what you guys use as a definition for it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that conversation with you. But really quick, I just want to clarify because I didn't get everything in the call screen here. It says I've listed as conservative, but not a MAGA supporter. Is that correct?
I don't support any politician because I'm not a peasant. I support politics.
Okay, great. Who'd you vote for in the last 3 elections?
Weird Al on 2016, and then Trump the last 2.
So you have voted for Trump the past 2 times. Last thing that I've got here is I don't have any pronouns listed for you. We've got about 1,000 people watching right now. Do you want them to call you he, she, they, or something else?
I don't really care. We're not here to frickin' focus on pronouns. That's stupid.
Well, it's literally just how you want people to refer to you to be polite. If you want me to put any or all pronouns, I can put that down, and then people can call you he, she, they, it, whatever they would like.
I don't really care about your pronoun frickin' need. That's your guys' thing. I don't really care.
Literally just basic grammar. But anyway, I've got to put in there as any.
Not really. It's not at all basic. No, it's
have that.
It's most certainly not basic grammar. It's basically adhering to your
Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that 3rd grade speaking is a bit too advanced and not basic for you, but for us, it's pretty fucking basic to say that if I don't want to say your name every single time I refer to you, then I would just use a pronoun.
No, I don't own a pronoun. I just recognize what I am and go by that.
Owns
I don't
words unless maybe
nobody assigns.
Trademark
you don't
something.
Assign a pronoun. There's no assigned pronouns. You just are what you are.
Nobody's. Right, and you are what you are, but pronouns aren't people. They're just words used to refer to things and people and other. Pronoun means it replaces a noun. So,
Dude, I
what I would say
I don't
is if I'm
give myself a pronoun. I don't give myself a pronoun. That's stupid.
okay, so maybe you're just a gender or you're non-binary then. So in that case,
I
we'll probably
don't
use
give
they, 'cause,
myself
you know,
a
the
gender.
general
That is
vibe.
stupid. I don't abide by the LGBT cult,
Joe,
so I'm not
listen.
going
Okay,
to
so it
abide by
sounds
you
this.
like
don't
you're
even
definitely-
have to. You don't even have to agree with us to just have pronouns. You know, you said you are what
Yeah.
you are, but
I don't
know what
have
you are.
pronouns. I
Joe,
don't have
Joe, can
pronouns.
you-
I don't
okay, I'm
have
just gonna-
pronouns.
I just want to
Pronouns
finish
are
this
an
statement.
explanation.
I just want to finish this statement, Joe. Pronouns for you are associated with biological sex, and that's okay. But I don't know what you are because I've never met you, and it's hard to tell sometimes over the phone. So even if you believe that, like, oh, I'm a man and therefore
No,
call me he,
actually,
then just say he, him. It's
Pronouns
fine.
don't. Pronouns describe reality. Actually, that's the only thing they do.
Okay, but yeah,
Right,
your
the
version of
reality of
reality
what?
is that you're a man, and that usually means he, him. You
Okay,
can just
so
say
then
it. You don't have
you're
to
not
throw
confused by this.
tantrum about it.
No, you're
It's
not
so
confused
weird.
by this.
Joe,
No.
Joe,
You're not
if you
confused
want to
by this.
continue, Joe, if you want to continue throwing a tantrum over it, we can just go through this conversation, and you just aren't allowed to use pronouns. Would you like to? That way, you just don't use pronouns at all.
I don't care about your pronoun bullshit. Is this the only thing you're going to get hung up on?
See, you just used a
This
pronoun
is
just
the
then
only-
to say that.
This is the only thing you're going to get hung up on?
The only person hung up here is you, Joe. We just asked you a really
Yeah,
basic
I
question,
don't
and you've gone on this
I
whole
don't-
fucking
oh,
tangent
because I
tirade
don't-
about it.
I don't.
Because you don't
I don't
understand
go
that this
by
is
your
just a
trans
thing that
ideology.
literally everybody does, and you just use several
No,
pronouns
they
in that
do it to-
sentence.
I don't have pronouns. I don't own pronouns. I
You
don't
just-
have pronouns. They're
you
just
just
an
used a pronoun
explanation
several
of reality.
You just
That
used a
doesn't-
pronoun
so
several
what?
times.
That does,
Yeah.
and what does that have to do with anything? Why? I
You're-
can
you
use pronouns.
literally
I'm
say-
using it to
You're
describe you.
literally using
Dude,
pronouns to say that you don't use
dude,
pronouns.
you're a man.
It's just stupid
Dude,
shit.
I don't need your pronouns. I know you're a man.
Joe,
I know
if
you're
you
a
don't have
dude,
a
and I know
preference-
that other
pronouns.
dude's a dude,
Joe,
and I
if
know
you
that
don't-
other dude's a
listen,
dude.
Joe,
So I don't need
that's
your
very funny.
pronouns.
You're very
You
funny.
don't even know who someone's gender is.
Very, very funny.
Another
It's
very
okay,
funny one from the
Joe.
We Can Always Tell
If you
crowd.
don't have a preference,
I don't need to know your
Hey,
gender.
Joe, if you don't have a preference, you can just say that you don't have a preference.
I don't abide by your pronoun bullshit. I go by reality. Pronouns are an explanation of reality. I don't assign myself pronouns, so I can't answer
you
your
don't,
question.
again, you don't have to subscribe to the idea that you choose pronouns if you believe they just describe reality. That you
I gave you
believe
my
in
question.
some
I gave you my
reality.
answer. I'm not going
You
to
know,
answer it. I don't
I'm-
give you my pronouns.
I'm
That's
just
not
trying to have
anything
a
that I believe in.
conversation, and I just keep getting
I
talked
don't-
over, and I don't understand why. It's so weird how this works.
Because you have such
so
a stupid
obviously a
obsession with
man.
me caring about my
I'm so
pronouns.
obviously a man, but I'm the only one who can't get a single word out. Is that how this works?
You're
That's
also
so
a
funny
dude.
how that
You're
works.
treating them like a woman.
You're also
That's
a
the
man.
That's
shame.
the irony of the situation is you think I'm a man, but you're
You're
speaking over
also
me
a
like you
man.
speak over women.
No, I know you're a man. I don't care what
That's
you
okay.
feel like inside.
That's okay. I don't need your validation. I don't care about your opinion, and you don't know what
If
you're
you
talking
don't need
about.
our
and it's very
validation,
funny.
then
It's actually
if you
very
don't need
funny.
our validation, then if you don't need your validation, then why are you trans?
I don't. Do you think that
Are we
being
ready to
trans
launch in?
means that you're
Like-
asking for other people's validation? I don't think that you know what pronouns are, and I also don't think you know what men or women are, and I also don't think you know what being
Yes,
trans
I
is.
know.
And I think
I know
that
what your cult
explains
view
why you
is,
voted
and
for
I-
Trump the last couple of times.
I know what your cult view is, and I outright reject it. And I also hope you guys continue to push
You
this
don't.
trans cult bullshit because I love watching you leftists shoot yourselves in the foot.
Hey, no, actually, that helps me out a lot because at the beginning of the show, if you remember, I don't know if you were tuned in at the beginning of the show, but I mentioned the fact that MAGA cultists don't have any values or morals or positions or anything that they stand for. All they have
Why would
is
I
blind
seek-
loyalty
why would
to
I
their
seek
God
moral-
King Trump and hatred
Why
for
would I
people
seek
that
moral
Trump tells them to
acceptance
hate.
from you?
I'm going to
Why
continue
would I-
speaking whether you do
Why
or
would
not.
I seek
I'm going to
moral
continue
acceptance
speaking
from
whether you
you?
do or not. I'm going to put you on mute for just a second because I'm going to continue speaking because it's not your show. What I was saying is that MAGA cultists don't have any values, morals, ideals, or anything that they can stand for. All they have is blind loyalty to their God King Trump and hatred for people that Trump tells them to hate, namely non-white immigrants and trans people. And so here you are, validating that. You're literally just saying, I hope you continue saying things I disagree with, because that causes more bad things to happen to you politically. And I love seeing all these terrible things that you just love seeing us upset. You love seeing us hurt. You love seeing us mad. You love seeing whatever, because at the end of the day, that's what your actual value is just the hatred for the people that Trump tells you to hate. Anyway, we'll put you back on now for a second there, Joe. I would love to get to your actual question, because this has been just a bitch fest from you for the past few minutes.
Your unfortunate
and I'm kind of
mistake
bored of
is
it.
thinking. Your unfortunate mistake is thinking that I seek your acceptance for my morals.
I didn't at all. I never said anything even close to
You
that.
just-
That
then
is
why did
you
bring up-
projecting
then
onto
Why
me.
did you say that I don't have morals or values? I don't look to you to have morals or values. I don't look for you as an
I didn't
authority
say you
figure
did.
for my morals or values. Then why are you bringing up
I
my
didn't say
morals
that
and
you did.
values? Then why are you bringing up my morals and
I'm not saying that you
values?
look for me. I'm not saying you
Then
look to me
why
for
are you
morals and
bringing up
values.
my morals
I'm going
and
to go and put
values?
you back on mute there, Joe, because you're too big of a little bitch to let me finish a sentence to answer your question. I didn't say that you look to me for moral authority. I was simply observing and making a statement about your moral position, which is that it's non-existent. That's all I said. I made a statement, an observation about what I was seeing from you and the rest of you cultists, and now you're assuming that that's me expecting you to look to me for some sort of validation or authority or guidance or whatever. And what you're doing here is you're betraying the fact that you are in a fucking cult and you think dogmatically and you expect anybody giving you any kind of information has to be some sort of authority figure that is giving you guidance that you must look to. No, I'm just some dude and I'm telling you what I see in front of my face whenever I look at you fucking weirdos worshiping Donald Trump. So, like, at the end of the day, that's what's happened. It's just people having a conversation, people on this side of the aisle who happen to know how fucking elementary school grammar works, and you think everybody else thinks like you, and so you don't know how to handle it. That's what just occurred here. And I'll bring you back, Joe. Let's see if we can actually get to your actual question, because now it's been almost 10 solid minutes of you whining and bitching about a really fucking simple question that never bothered anybody before you fucking weirdos decided to make it a problem. So, Joe, what did you actually want to talk about today about MAGA and why they're scared and all these things?
Well, actually, I wanted to address something. You said that I'm in a cult, and I just wanted to kind of. I wanted to actually say yes. You're totally correct. I want you guys to know that yes, every time you leftists say I'm in a cult and that you have no idea like why I like my values or anything, that makes me happy because I am directly opposed to everything on the left. So when you complain about Democrat or conservative values being pushed and that really makes you angry, that makes me happy because I despise all of your values.
Wonderful. So when we're up here preaching anti-racism and anti-sexism and equality and fairness and justice and you know liberty and democracy and abiding by the Constitution, those are all things that you hate. Thank you very much for proving yet another one of my points. As I said earlier on,
no, those
MAGA
are all main character
fundamentally.
complexes.
I'm going to go ahead and just put you back on mute because you're too big of a whiny little bitch. Let me finish my sentence. As I was saying, what I said earlier on is that MAGA is anti-Constitution, anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-equality. They're pro-racism. They're pro-hatred. They're pro-stupidity. They're pro-illiteracy. They're pro-conspiracy theory. And you validated that for me because as a leftist, something that I take very seriously is education. Public funding for education, making sure that people learn how to gather and analyze and assess information so that they're not duped by con men like Donald Trump. You hate that. You don't like that. You don't want that. You want the opposite. Exactly my point. I'm also for, because I'm a biologist and I understand how things like race and sex and gender work, I'm for equality for different races and sexes and genders. And I also support LGBT people, again, because I'm a biologist and I know how these things work. And you hate that. You are anti-science. You are anti-information. You are anti-critical thinking. You are anti-everything that I stand for, including the fundamental parts of the Constitution that lay out things like equal protection under the law, the right to due process, the right to vote, the prohibition of the elimination of a poll tax, like all these things that I stand for. You don't. And you show that in both your political support and in your rhetoric here today. I will now bring you back and see once again, Joe, would you like to actually get to the actual thing that you called in about, or do you want to continue bitching about why you don't like the left?
I mean, I like that you have to like put me on mute and go on a filibuster, like completely degrading me in order to try to attempt to win a debate. That's pretty cute.
No, I'm not degrading you. I'm describing you.
Well, I like your description because, yes, I don't want your view of what the Constitution is. I hate how you view reality. I hate how you frickin' view the Constitution. You can't even define what rights are.
That has to be really exhausting. I'm really sorry, actually. That sounds like a bad way to live. Because, like, here's the thing, Joe. I like,
why would it be a bad way to live?
Joe, I'm in the middle of talking. That's crazy. The thing is, Joe, that even if you believe the opposite of what I believe, which, like, I believe in, like, making sure everybody's needs are met, and that, you know, no child goes hungry, and that no person has to sleep out on the streets, you know, stuff like that. So if you're opposed to my beliefs, that's really fucked up. But so you know what's crazy, Joe, is that I want you also to have universal health care. Even though you don't want other people to be taken care of, shut the fuck up.
I don't want universal health care.
Shut the fuck up. Hey,
you literally can't let somebody else finish a sentence. You can't do it.
I want you to have those things. I want you to have universal health care. So even though you hate me, I actually want the best for you. And that's the difference between us, actually, Joe, is that even though you're a piece of shit, I still want the best for you, and you're going to be a hateful bitch right now.
The difference is you have main character complex, and if I don't agree with your policies, that means I want the world to end.
You are not capable of existing in a world with people who differ from you without being a hateful bitch about it.
I hate your leftist policies.
You're being personally rude. You don't hate my values. You've been personally rude to me and to Forrest the entire time, and you can't even shut the fuck up for 5 seconds. You are being personally rude.
I'm also going to put him back on mute for a second because he literally, this is what I'm talking about. Like, what we're trying to describe to you here, Joe, the main character syndrome that you're describing is basic empathy, compassion, and a willingness to try to work hard to make the world a better place. It's the shit you learn about in kindergarten if you were paying attention. It, you know, just really, really basic shit. But as you've shown here, all you have, as I have said several times, is just hate. You hate leftists, and you hate everything we stand for, and you hate, and you hate, and you hate. And we're here saying, hey, man, I want to make sure that you're taken care of in your life. I want to make sure that you never go hungry. I want to make sure that you never have to worry about where you're going to get medical care. I want to make sure that you're never without housing. I want to make sure that you and your family and your loved ones are safe and protected and treated with fairness and dignity and respect, and that you are equal in the society and never ever pushed under the rug and just ignored and trampled over by the system. I want to make sure that you are well represented and well taken care of, and that you have a society that you are proud of. That's what we want for you. And your response is, fuck you, I hate you. I don't know what your genitals look like, but I think about them a lot. And that's, bro, I'm sorry you're that way.
A little weird.
It must suck to suck. I wouldn't know, but it must suck to suck. Anyway, now, what are we at? 15 minutes in.
Wow.
Joe, are you finally ready to talk about the thing that you wanted to talk about, or are you going to continue to be side-railed and bitching about all the weird little things you hate about leftists with our evil conspiracies to give you equal rights and fair wages? Joe, turning it over to you once again.
Can I ask a clarification question?
God, I don't want you to, but why not?
So is your view that the only reason I'm a conservative is because that I want bad things to happen in society? Is that your view?
No.
It just so happens that those things tend to correlate.
Then why do you frame it that way? Why do you frame it that way?
It just weirdly tends to work out that way, that conservative policies make life worse for people. It's kind of weird.
Oh, so if I don't agree with leftist views, that means I want bad things to happen? Is that your position?
No, it's very funny that you literally just
happens in the world.
It's very funny that you asked me a question. I said no to that question, and then you just repeated yourself as if I had said yes. I literally just explained that that's not what I think about you or your position, and you just said, "Oh, so then you think this thing?" That's fucking, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. You're just arguing with yourself in your head and getting worked up over shit that hasn't happened, which is also probably why you voted for Trump, because he told you a bunch of dumb shit that hasn't happened, and you got real mad about it.
You just went on a diatribe literally talking about that I just want bad things to happen to the world. That's literally what you just did when you put me on mute.
It's not actually what I said at all. Not what I said at all. What I said,
okay,
and I'll
then
say it
repeat
again
it.
so you
Then
can try to
repeat
understand it. Yeah, see, when you just interrupted me, I was in the middle of saying, I will repeat it now. So if you shut the fuck up and listen to other people, you might learn something and not have to have this kind of conversation sometimes. So what I was saying a minute ago when I was going on my diatribe, as you describe it, is that what you have is just hatred for people that your God King Donald Trump tells you to hate. You have no morals, values, or ideals of your own that you actually are striving for to work towards to make the world a better place. And because of that, you fundamentally, patently, blanketly decided that you just hate everything that we are and everything that we stand for, when what we stand for is fairness, equality, equal rights, and progress, and the American way and the American Constitution. And because of that, all you have, the only thing that you base your decisions and your ideologies and all these things on and your votes on, is whatever your God King Donald Trump says, and hatred for particularly trans people and non-white immigrants. That's what I said earlier on. We have now taken that a little bit further to also rope in the Constitution, freedom, equality, democracy, all these other things that made America as great as it is today.
Yeah, so because I don't agree with your leftist views, you think that I want bad things to happen. No, I have very good reasons why I disagree with your views.
Listen, Joe, I don't think either of us know each other's views very well. We're making
I know
a lot
your
of
views
assumptions.
very well.
Okay,
I know your views very well.
I've never spoken to you before.
Why do you need to speak to me? Why do you need to speak to me?
Different leftists have different beliefs. Do you legitimately think that everybody who considers themselves on the left has all the same beliefs? You have no idea what I believe.
You actually are pretty. What do you stray from the left on then?
I don't know it, but what I'm saying is like we have not talked about policies.
Good answer.
What they literally just said, hey Joe, what they literally just said to you is that leftists have a diversity of beliefs, and you said, what do you stray from the left on, as if the left was one homogenous belief. That's why they said, I don't know, because that's a dumbass question.
I'm asking for the diversity of belief. Is that confusing?
There are leftists who believe that like landlords should be put to death, for example. Like there are leftists who believe that we should violently overthrow shit. Like, you know, there are people who are extreme, and there are people who are more like I'm like a democratic socialist kind of thing, or just like a social democracy, like what they have in like Norway or whatever. There is a spectrum.
The only way you separate yourself is off of violence.
Joe, it's more useful for us to have conversations about like our actual policies and not just like a bunch of assumptions about what we believe. We're guessing what you believe because you keep saying you hate what we believe, but I don't even think you know what we believe.
I know exactly what you believe on pretty much every topic.
What's my position, let's say, for example, on illegal immigrants? What's my thought about what should be done with them, if you know everything about what I believe?
Yeah. Tell us what we believe instead of asking what we believe is such a good use of time.
You think that there should be an easier access to get immigration in there, and you don't like how the deportations are being taken, or how they're going right now, I should say. I don't know how to word that correctly.
What specifically is wrong with how deportations are going right now?
You think that they're being a forceful hand, and that they shouldn't be using a forceful hand. And that you also think for some reason that they're deporting Americans.
Wrong on both counts.
Okay.
Weird to find out that you're not a fucking mind reader 20 minutes into this call. That's a crazy drop, man. Oh my glob, here. I was so excited.
Is this the cope you're going with? So you
literally just told me you know everything about my positions and then demonstrated that you didn't.
So you're on the other side of everything that I said?
No, there's actually you'd be surprised to find, Joe, that there are more than two opinions about various things. And here is one of these situations where I have a different opinion.
I just asked where it was wrong, and you didn't give me where I was wrong.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about why it's wrong. Number one, the way that it's being done is fundamentally racist. The way that they are going about deciding who they should and shouldn't deport is a racist policy. The second thing is that they are doing it unconstitutionally.
Is that Canadian they deported? Was that racist?
They're doing things unconstitutional. You can pick a single individual case if you like, or we can talk about the actual facts that ICE has been given license to detain people based on their skin color and their accents and their place of employment based around racial stereotypes, that they are currently locking people up in, I'm going to continue speaking even if you keep speaking, so you're going to have to let me finish the whole thing, that you have Donald Trump saying that immigrants have inferior genes that make them commit more crimes, that Donald Trump has called illegal immigrants subhuman animals, that he has said that people from I can play you the audio clip. You want to hear him say it?
Sure.
I can't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals.
A lot of them were let in here. They shouldn't have been let in. Others are just bad. They go bad. Something wrong. There's something wrong there.
So
the genetics are not exactly, they're not exactly your genetic. It's one of those problems, Brian. It's a terrible thing, and it happened.
the 22-year-old nursing student in Georgia who was barbarically murdered by an illegal alien animal. The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. Nancy Pelosi told me that. She said, please don't use the word animal, sir, when you're talking about these people. I said, I'll use the word animal because that's what they are. You know, when they let, I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into our country. When they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them. They just come in. The crime is going to be tremendous. The terrorism is going to be, and then we built a tremendous piece of the wall, and then we're going to build more.
So there he is. Yeah, what you said, I was making things up.
Where am I supposed to be mad? Yeah, you said that.
So
you're making the claim that all immigrants.
I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute because you can't shut the fuck up. Joe, what I said is that Donald Trump said that illegal immigrants are non-human animals and that they have inferior genes that cause them to be bad people. And I also threw in the extra clip of them saying they're poisoning the blood of our country. And you said, I can make stuff up too. And now I have shown you that I didn't make anything up. So, would you like to concede, Joe, that I didn't make that up and that Donald Trump did say that illegal immigrants are non-human animals with bad genes poisoning the blood of our country?
So I'm not supposed to take anything in context. I'm just supposed to slice things right up as you want.
Is that what he said? Is that what he said or no?
No, he said that violent illegal immigrants are animals, and I agree. And he also said that
he's saying that these people,
said that there's
just to be clear,
and there is genetically inferior immigrants because there's Muslim countries that have incest. Don't you know that?
There is a incest right here in America, and if you think that
not
there's
as much
anybody
as Muslim
out
countries.
there,
not as much as Muslim countries, bro.
As much as plenty of other countries, you fucking idiot. I'm gonna go ahead and put him back on mute for 2 seconds so I can finish this up here, dude. Listen, man, yeah, if you think that America is any better than any other fucking part of the world because we have whatever practice that somebody else doesn't, it's probably because you've just been fed some dumbass racist propaganda. And the fact that you're literally willing to sit here and say, yeah, these people are genetically inferior to us, actually continues to further prove the point that I've been making this whole time.
Yeah.
So, sorry to hear that you're this far down the alt-right Nazi rabbit hole. Sucks to be you, but at the end of the day, all you're doing is proving my point. All you're doing is proving my point. And I didn't even get to finish the question that you asked me originally, which was, why do I think that what ICE is doing is wrong? The first thing I said was that their practices and ideologies and the guidance from Donald Trump are racist, and you called me a liar. And now we've proven not only was I telling the truth, but you're in the same fucking boat. So, like, what's the point? We can talk about the concentration camps they're sending immigrants to. The fact that, and also American citizens, that they have rounded up well over 100 U.S. citizens for having brown skin, and they send them to the same concentration camps, and that we have reports, credible reports from the ACLU, Amnesty International, over 100 American citizens that have been sent to these places, and internal whistleblowers, that these people are being kept in inhumane conditions, with feces and urine flooding the floors, fed moldy, rotten food, if they're being fed anything at all, given unpotable or limited or no drinking water, being denied access to health care, including life-saving medical care, or even their own prescription medication, people being beaten, people being raped in these camps, people being dumped out in the snow miles away from where they live with no notice given to their family, and they freeze to death. That's happened more than once. And not to mention the fact that thousands of immigrants detained in these camps have just gone missing, vanished, poof, off the face of the earth. Nobody knows where they are. Who knows what happened to those poor people? These are the things that you support. Because, as you said, we leftists think it's wrong, and therefore you are just going to revel in it and think that it's right. Because all you have is hate. All you have is anger. All you have is this, what you would call main character syndrome, where you just want to do whatever you can to piss off a leftist and troll the libs so hard that you destroy your own fucking country in the process because it made somebody else mad, and that was funny. I was also going to point out the constitutionality of all this, or should I say the lack thereof, how these processes violate the 5th and the 14th Amendments, which guarantee equal rights, equal protection under the law, and due process to all people under American jurisdiction, not just citizens, not just people with visas, not just white people, much to your chagrin, but all people who we interact with must be treated with fairness and equality and be given due process. Due process, which Donald Trump said, and I can find the clips for you again, Donald Trump said would take too long, so we don't need to do it. And Donald Trump also said on camera that he doesn't think he should have to follow the Constitution in the first place. He isn't sure if he should be required to do so. He'll have to check with his lawyer first. Those are things that the president said after he was already reelected. He said, I don't know if I should have to follow the Constitution. These are issues that I have with ICE and what they're doing. And yeah, I do think there should be a better path to citizenship, but your other just bogus summaries of whatever you think I think about whatever, turns out you're not the mind reader that you think you are. Lux, it's been 29 miserable minutes with Joe. And he just literally told us about how he thinks he's genetically superior to people. Y'all, if that's your template of genetic superiority, happy to be an inferior subhuman child of immigrants over here. But I'll leave it up to you if we continue on with Joe, because I've been talking this whole time.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I really hope, Joe, that you never try to high road a liberal or a leftist and say how awful we are at having productive conversations and how we make it impossible to have productive conversations, because at least I have been just trying to have a conversation with you and try to see what we actually disagree on. And you're so caught up in whatever is going on with you that you are projecting onto this conversation, and like the weird tribalism you engage in just doesn't seem very helpful, you know? And the crazy thing is, Joe, again, I want the best for you. I want a country where you are doing well. And you want a country seemingly where, like, I don't have access to the healthcare that I want to have access to as a trans person at the very minimum. And also, like, if your side was, like, proven to be correct about something, I would adjust my view, not just be like, well, you're a MAGA, so therefore I'm just going to do the opposite of whatever you do. And I would like to ponder, I would like you to ponder that a little bit, you know? Like, are you just going to remain opposed to anything that anyone on the left says, regardless of whether it's in line with the truth? You know, when it turns out later that Republicans say, oh, I guess they were right about this one thing, like, do you just wait and deal with the consequences then? Anyway, I have no interest in hearing anything that you have to say, but I want you to ponder those things. So thanks, Joe. We appreciate you.
Yeah, Joe's never pondered anything in his life. I have a message from your president, Joe. Anyway. With that,
was that quiet, Figgy? I could not hear it very well. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet. It's kind of quiet for a quiet soundbite.
Yeah.
With that, we've got a couple other callers here. I'm looking at line number 4 next. I don't know about you.
I will say, before we move on to our next caller, listen, okay, first of all, if y'all haven't hit the like button, do that. It immediately helps us get more calls if we want a better variety to choose from. And if there is someone out there in the chat who, maybe you believe some of the same things that our last caller did, but you think you might be able to argue better, maybe you know what a dialogue is, like maybe you understand some very basic things about how to speak back and forth. And
Joe's trying to call back right now.
Yeah, Joe, we're not letting you back in. No, Luthien, thank you.
You suck,
we are not.
Dude. You literally just said that different people have inferior genes to you. Why would we continue talking to you, you illiterate fuck? No.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no.
man. No.
Not getting the clue when you got hung up on also speaks volumes about your personal relationships and how you conduct yourself in them.
Go cry about it to your wife, who's also a gun and also your sister.
But yeah, the number's on the screen, y'all. 336-543-2101. We're gonna be taking calls for another 2 hours or so. So yeah, we're here. We're taking calls. The topics are rotating around the bottom of the screen there. If y'all want to call in about any of these things in particular, but yes, we do have caller number 4. It does sound good to me.
Right on. Joe's tried to call back in 3 times now. Let's talk to. Wow. So I'm going to let you know, my Trolldar is already on high alert with this one, so this might be a short call. And it's just because this person has put the name Squat in their thing. That could be a nickname. It could be cool, or they could be a piece of shit. We don't know. We're going to find out, though. But here's Squat, pronouns he, him, calling in as a MAGA person wanting to talk about Trump and his solutions for America. Squat! You're on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, man. Been an interesting day so far. Just talked to a Nazi. It's been great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you want to talk about today?
I wanted to talk about Trump. And I know I said I wanted to talk about how his solutions to, global economics, kind of fixing the rap that America has in global economics is good. But I also wanted to talk about his moral character and say he's just a really cool guy.
So I'm going to be real with you. I said a minute ago that I think, based on the name, that you might just be a troll call. You have now made me more suspicious of that. It's not impossible that you actually believe these things, but to sit here and say that the dude who cheated on every one of his wives and has 34 felony convictions for paying off the porn star that he had sex with while married with his latest wife while she was pregnant with their daughter, and also said of his daughter while she was an infant that he hopes she grows up to have her mother's big tits, and also said of his daughter on live radio that he has no problem with anybody calling her a piece of ass because that's what she is, and told a 10-year-old girl that he would be dating her in 10 years, and bragged about walking backstage to the pageants that he owned and seeing all these beautiful women, including underage girls, naked in their changing rooms because he's the owner of the pageant and he gets to do that, and he gets to see these incredible bodies whether they want him to or not, and that's something he bragged about live on the air, as he bragged about grabbing women by the pussy whether they want him to or not because he's a star and he just gets to do it. If you're going to sit here and say that dude, the dude that Jeffrey Epstein said was one of the worst people he's ever met and dealt with, if that dude is your hero as somebody with great moral character, I don't think you're serious. So I'm high alert for troll in this situation, and I am ready to end the call if you behave sillily, but I'm willing to hear you out.
Okay. So I'm on very thin ice, and what am I supposed to do about that? Just be very civil?
Well, no, I just think if you're, I'm just letting you know that I am not entirely sure that you're serious. I am pretty convinced that you're fucking around. And if you want to prove me wrong, that's great. Just tell me why you think Trump is a morally good person, is a person of good moral character.
Okay. Well, I don't vote because of policies or anything. I vote for the person who seems the coolest and will just, the news sucks and I want to be able to laugh while watching the news. And I just called into another spot, and they told me that Donald Trump was very incompetent, and he was on camera shitting himself, and they tried to convince me that that wasn't funny, and, like, is, like, a display of, like, bad moral character. And I don't think, like, cheating on your wife, like, okay, dude, you sound a little jealous, like, he gets around, like, I get it. I wouldn't tell my 10-year-old daughter that. Oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy. But, you know, that doesn't really, the cheating stuff doesn't really say anything about his moral character. It just means, like, you know, a lot of chicks dig him, and he's cool with that.
So to be clear, your entire political ideology, your political identity is just a 13-year-old middle school boy looking for something funny and a very weak person's idea of what a strong person might look like.
That's not the right way to characterize it.
I think I just characterized it pretty handily, honestly. I think I've covered just about everything. Because what you said was you don't actually care about policy or anything. You just want to see what will be funny to see on the news. So you don't care who this person hurts. You don't care who this person, you know, helps. You don't care what evil situations are made more powerful, what good situations are made weaker. You don't care who dies, who lives, nothing. You just want to be entertained. And when you hear about somebody cheating on his wife, you just think, oh, well, he's wanted by a lot of women, and well, wow, what a stud. So again, it's a 13-year-old middle school boy's idea of what a big, strong man and a fun leader looks like, backed up by whatever's entertaining to you. So yeah,
I think that's a huge stretch.
That's your political identity.
You know, I don't tell somebody that I watched The Apprentice and they're like, "Oh, you just want everybody to die, dude." Like that's a big stretch.
You're not. You're not watching The Apprentice.
I'm sorry.
You're participating in real politics that affect real humans in their real lives.
Yeah, literally just
but he's the
watch
guy
reality
from The
TV.
Apprentice.
Listen, literally just watch reality TV. I don't think you're a real person, but if you are a real person, like, there are actual consequences to who is the president. No, I just think you're a liar. I think you're a lying liar who's having fun, who is lying about
What's wrong with lying?
Yeah, it's a waste of my time. Like, is the main thing. Me personally, a waste of my time.
But the craziest thing is, and we say this the same time whenever we talk to Christians as well. We'll have trolls call in pretending to be Christians, and they'll say some really ridiculous shit. The problem
I'm
with
a
trolls
Christian.
like you
I
is
love
that
God.
we have. Yeah, I'm not surprised. But like with the problem that I have with trolls like you is that there's this thing called Poe's law. You may have heard of it. Without clear, specific declaration of intent, it's impossible to tell if somebody is trolling or if they're serious sometimes. And when we talk to Christians and when we talk to MAGA, that's what we're in the middle. We're in the mires of Poe's law, because literally I could honestly see an actual MAGA supporter saying the shit that you're saying right now and being completely serious about. I don't think you're serious. It's very obvious you're fucking around here. But like, I could honestly see MAGA folks saying the dumb shit that you're saying with complete sincerity, because that's how shallow their thinking is. They just want to be entertained. And as we saw with that last guy, his entire political identity is whatever's going to troll the left. And so he doesn't care that thousands of people die. He doesn't care that millions of people lose their health care. He doesn't care that people are being kept in concentration camps. He doesn't care about the actual Nazis, outspoken Nazis, working for this administration, supporting this administration, the people flying the swastika flag with the MAGA flag in his camp, on his team. He doesn't care about any of that. All he cares about is if it makes people like Luxander and I mad. And so what you're espousing here, as much as you're trying to be silly, this is actually what fucking MAGA cultists sound like. So I appreciate you coming on the show and demonstrating that even somebody who's an obvious fucking troll sounds like a Trump supporter.
I'm sorry.
And with that, I encourage you to go back to your basement and continue eating your own excrement and give your mom her phone back.
I don't want to make you mad, dude.
Mm-hmm. Why do these people think they're capable of stirring us to any true anger?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I've ever been actually impacted by anyone on this show.
I've definitely been actually angry on these shows when someone is sincere. But you get to a point with calls like that where it's like come on. You know what I mean? It's like this. You have to try harder if you're going to be a troll. You have to try to make it compelling and interesting and funny. And Anyway, numbers on the screen there if anybody else wants to continue to call. We got lines open. We'll keep taking calls. 336-543-2101 if you're a MAGA person and you would like to discuss Donald Trump and why you think he is of moral character. And again, just as a reminder, we're talking about this guy.
I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clue. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
And we can also play this one here.
Today, a former Miss Arizona who calls herself a conservative, going public in an interview with KCBS, describing what she says happened backstage with Trump at a Miss USA pageant.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked, changing into our bikinis.
Tasha Dixon detailing her discomfort.
To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him, get his attention.
She describes feeling helpless.
Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
That's who you're supporting, y'all. That's your guy. That's the guy who's going to save your great Christian nation. What a fucking joke. Like, fuck, man. Hey, what do you think?
I'm just so curious what context would make any of those statements okay. You know, because the first thing they always reach for is like, well, you took it out of context. And I'm like, literally give me the context in which that would have been okay. Like, is Trump quoting a murderer or something? Like, you're like, oh, well, it doesn't count. He's just quoting somebody who believes horrible things. And it's like, but why is Trump quoting a murderer? Like, why would you?
What's going on?
Why does he have a copy of Mein Kampf in his bedside table drawer is what I'm saying. Like, why are these the specific things? Yeah, and I have yet to get adequate explanation that lands me anywhere other than like these are fascists. But you know, I'm open to being convinced otherwise. Listen, people feel strongly about that word fascist. They're like, you call everybody you disagree with fascist, and I'm like, bitch, you started it. Remember feminazi? I do.
Yeah. I
was here when the old law was written. I've been here. Yeah, so I would love to get a justification from MAGA on like, you know, how wanting to violently eject immigrants from this nation, how is that not racist or at least xenophobic? Actually, here's an opinion question, Forrest. I feel like xenophobia just is racism. And so sometimes, like, if somebody is being like, or Islamophobia, if somebody's being Islamophobic, or if they're like, oh, those people from that country or whatever, like, I'm like, you just don't like brown people. I kind of think that they boil down to the same elements.
I think that's very evident in the fact that, like, you listen to the way MAGA talks about Zoran Mamdani, and they talk about, oh, he's this terrible Muslim, who's all blah, blah, blah. They don't say any of that shit about Dr. Oz, right? Who is also a Muslim. And that's not a problem because he's one of the good ones, you know? He's one that's on our team, right? And that's what you see. Dr. Oz, if Dr. Oz ever steps one fraction of a toe out of line, if Dr. Oz ever breathes in a way that sounds like it is not in concordance with what Donald Trump wants, I guarantee you, I'm making the prediction right now, that a major part of the criticism against him is that he's a Muslim.
Sure.
But that MAGA is going to come out and talk about this fucking Muslim piece of shit that we should never have trusted and blah, 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 blah. That's going to be part of it because he is just a person. He's what's that word? Token to get spent. You know what I mean? Like that's what that is. And so you hear, you know, when this person, we had Joe talk about, oh, you know, these Muslim countries do incest. Not only Muslim countries, not all Muslim countries, and a lot of incest here in the U.S. of A. A lot of incest amongst white society. A lot of incest amongst the royals. Society. Right? White Southern society. You seen that fucking that video of that family that's so inbred the one guy literally can only bark? And like it's just insanity here in this country. We literally have stereotypes about fucking people from the South. I made the joke where I was like, go fuck complain to your wife, who's also your sister and also a gun. Yeah. Because it's such a common thing to talk about here in the U.S. And, you can argue that that's me being classist or whatever, and it'll be fine. Yes, there's probably some good criticism for me there.
But that's such a good point, though, that the royal family is super inbred and incesty as well. Like
that's why I still think it's cool
in Europe. I get what you. Yeah, that's so interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Right. I'm not talking about your socioeconomic status. I'm talking about fucking how weird your whole situation is. Yeah. And when you have somebody calling in with that level of thinking, I happen to just assume that your family tree is a wreath. And like at the end of the day, you're gonna sit here and put out this stereotype that you have come up with. I gotta be honest with it, like inbreeding amongst Muslims is not a stereotype that that's a new brand of racism for me.
Yeah,
it's a new racist ideology that would fucking everybody get your calendars. New racism just dropped. But like I don't know, man. Like, if that's your level of thinking, and you're going to follow that up with, yeah, he said that these people are subhuman animals, I agree with him because they're criminals. So you just affix yet another dehumanizing category to justify your dehumanization. It doesn't matter. They did some violence. They did something I don't like. Meanwhile, when Trump says at his rallies, beat the hell out of those protesters, I'll pay your legal fees. When Trump bombs boats in the fucking Caribbean and off the coast of South America, violating international law, killing innocent civilians because he has just decided that he's judge, jury, and executioner for people with no proof to their crimes. When we give hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel to continue perpetuating genocide in Gaza and in Lebanon, and when we are funding the bombs and the sniper bullets that are killing children, sniper bullets in the heads of babies made here in the US of A, funded by our tax dollars, none of that comes up. But this guy, he went across an imaginary line in a way that didn't match the paperwork requirements, and therefore he's not really a human anymore, and it doesn't matter what we do to him. No mention, by the way, in that whole statement about, like, the rest of the problem, about the concentration camps or the ways in which, because I think we covered the concentration camps afterwards, but before then, we mentioned the fact that they're literally rounding people up based on skin color, and that's why well over 100 American citizens have been rounded up as well, including veterans.
Yep.
Fucking no mention of any of that, because they're brown. That's part of it. That's expected, right? That's fucking, Anyway, we got another caller. And,
I don't know if this one's going to get through.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, this is still in the screen. Oh, wait. It's still in the screening room. Yeah. Then, sure enough, has been dropped.
Yeah. But listen, we're here to take the calls. Listen, we're both like socialists. I think it's fair to say that we're both like socialists, and we want to talk about how to make society better, and and if you think that MAGA is the way to make society better, we want to have the discussion. If you think that socialism is terrible and capitalism is good, we want to discuss what does that actually mean? Because I think so much of this gets lost in the vocab, right? And that's why it's such an essential part of a discussion. Like, let's define our terms so that we know that we're talking about the same thing. Like Joe, the breakdown that we had with Joe earlier was that he made a lot of assumptions about what we believe. And when we tried to say, here's what we actually believe, he basically was just like, nuh-uh, that's not what you believe. You believe something else. Like, essentially just unable to square what we actually believe with his caricature in his head to such a degree that it's functionally calling us liars about our own beliefs. Like, what is the point of misrepresenting my beliefs to you, random idiot on the internet that does not have any impact on my life whatsoever? Yeah. We didn't get enough spicy anti-trans callers earlier, too. What?
Hey, we could do some of them. I also want to say we have a lot of fucking tweeters in chat, a lot of people who just are here to say a bunch of dumb shit and not call in. But just so you know, Doe talking about how I'm wrong about Israel, this is your chance. We don't have anybody on the line right now. We were going to sit here and vamp about how big of a piece of shit Donald Trump is for the next hour or so before we have to end the show. Yeah. That was my goal. But, like, we got the rest. We got the calls that we were going to have. We had 4 people waiting. A couple of them got tired of waiting and they dropped. So we've only done the 2 calls. One of them was a troll. The other one was unfortunately serious. We have lines open right now, and you'll be boosted to the front of the line. We have 2 hours left on this fucking show. So pick up that phone. And it's the same thing as this person who thinks that we are the Nazis. Call in. Let's define the terms. Let's talk. This is your chance to show us up, prove us wrong here on the whole internet in front of tens of thousands of people. Prove that you know what the fuck you're talking about, first of all, and then how we should improve. What the better way for us to be. This is your chance. And
listen, this is a call out. This is a call out. There are 1,600 people watching right now, and there are only 750 likes on the video. If you're watching us on mobile, double tap the screen, click the thumbs up. Just it's so quick and easy and free, and it immediately helps, and it immediately gets us more people in here who want to call and say stupid stuff, and that's what we're here for. We're here to capitalize on the people who want to come in and say stupid stuff, and then we can correct them and yell at them.
What is snow never melts? I'm seeing that hashtag pop up a whole bunch now.
Yeah, it's about his car accident. Like,
basically, Jimmy Snow.
Yeah. It's like, he'll never die, basically, is what it means, I think.
But you know what does melt? Ice.
True. Fucking got him.
Let's talk about, we actually have 2 people who just got into the queue, and they are both wanting to talk about trans folks. They are currently in the screening room, so we're going to wait for that to happen. One person wants to talk about trans issues and information. One person wants to talk about fucking Richard Dawkins. Christ almighty. And now we have somebody else calling in. So apparently telling people that, hey, we don't have any callers right now, you get to the front of the line, that's a thing that makes people call in, apparently. People just don't want to wait.
Listen,
apparently people think they're going to have to wait in queue.
If you just want to shoot the shit, I might still hang up on you. To be clear, but that does, like, people misunderstand sometimes. We're like, we have open lines, we'll take the calls. It doesn't mean I want to talk to atheists. It doesn't mean I want to talk to leftists who just want to shoot the shit or just want to ask a question. Like, I will just suffer here with no calls rather than take a call that I don't want to take right now. To be clear. Sorry, everybody. I'm vicious about screening calls. I'm not nice like everybody else.
Let's see here. Bow. I'm just typing in some things here. There we go. Got this article that I wanted to have pulled up. Boop, boop. You keep vamping. I'm typing a thing.
I just have the quadratic formula like dancing around in my brain. I'm just thinking about numbers and X's and Y's. That's my whole shit right now.
X is equal to negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared equals 4AC all over 2A, y'all.
Yep.
That's the quadratic formula for you if you're curious about it. If you want to know about it.
Hundreds of different renditions of songs that are the quadratic formula. It's like you go on Google, and if you're having a hard time memorizing the quadratic formula, holy shit, there are so many people who are ready to help you get an earworm of the memorization. So there you go. Have fun with that, all you college students.
We've got 3 calls still being screened. I'm going to go and take this one who just got through the screening room really quickly because it sounds like it'll be a quick conversation. Let's talk to Jason, any and all pronouns, calling in on the left, who wants to talk about Dawkins and why he's probably not too far gone. Jason, you're on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Yeah, hi, Forrest. Hi, Lux. Good, thanks.
Hello.
As I said in the note, I don't think that Richard Dawkins is too far gone on trans issues, and I think I've got some arguments that could bring him around.
Send it to him.
But I think, of course.
I think that he has been very used to. I think that he was a great debater and a great thinker and a great public speaker for a long time, but then his entire career became more about getting negative attention than actually changing anybody's mind after a little while, and he kind of had his in-group that he was pandering to rather than continuing to do educational outreach. And he got so used to that being the way that he did things that now he's in this situation where he's getting a ton of backlash for what he's saying. And that equals like success to him, where the anger that he's getting from people that he doesn't value means that he is correct. And I think that's what I'm seeing a lot for, but you know, I also don't pay that much attention to him. The dude literally just fell in love with a chat bot and declared it sentient.
I'm sorry,
so, like,
what?
I know.
Yeah, he got to.
That was nuts. That was nuts.
He got to test Claude, the chatbot Claude, and it stroked his ego a whole bunch, and so he renamed it Claudia and said that it was a sentient, intelligent being.
Wait, that was Richard Dawkins? The Richard
That
Dawkins?
was Richard Dawkins. That was the Richard Dawkins that did that. And that's why he gets big headlines, because it says evolutionary biologist declares this crazy thing, and the news, as it has done for the past 2 decades, the news continues to treat him as if he is the only evolutionary biologist in the world and the Pope of all atheism. And
he's an octogenarian. His brain is melting. Let him die. Let him die in obscurity.
So I would love, honestly, yeah, I would love to have a conversation with the dude off camera, casual, normal, just, hey, what the hell, man? You were a big inspiration to me, and now you're doing this shit. Can we please come to terms on some stuff? But at the end of the day, the way that the media treats him kind of renders that not really useful anyway in the long run, because no matter what he does, he's just going to be the enemy. But if you think that you've got something that convinces the dude, send it to him. By all means, I'm sure he gets plenty.
Well, I disagree with your take on him, and I'll tell you why. For a start, I don't think he's had some good ideas, and he's made some good contributions to popular science. But I don't think he is really on the level that a lot of people think that he is. I've actually never seen him in a good debate. Do you have any in mind that I could have a look at? I've never seen him do
debate.
I've seen him do presentations, but I've never seen him actually debate people.
He wasn't really much of a debater.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's cool. It's just because you said he was a good debater. He definitely can be a good presenter at a lower level. I thought a lot of his writing was a bit kind of misleading, and gave a lot of ground to the religious and even to creationists, just with the way that he phrased things and whatnot. But I think underneath it all, I think he is actually a genuine person who just has some misunderstandings, and who, because he's been challenged, and he feels that he's in the right, is sort of acting defensively. But I think underneath it all, there's a core of someone genuine who would be responsive to science put the right way. But yeah, definitely, I'm working on a book that I'm writing, and trying to get the arguments that I have out there, because I think they're pretty irrefutable that trans identities are biologically based.
Good luck. As of right now, the academic consensus in biology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, biomedical sciences is that trans people are what they say they are, and that trans identities are rooted in some. There's conflicting hypotheses right now, depending on how you draw the lines as to whether things like gender and sexuality have some determinate biological component, or whether they are wholly socially constructed. I'm one of those folks that's kind of in the middle, where I'm saying there is absolutely a biological component. What's socially constructed is how we identify and define these things, not what they are. And but that's not a really crazy, outlandish position to take. I can recommend. I don't have my shit with me. Oh wait, yes I do. Hold on a second. I was looking at recently. I was using this. There's this paper from 2021 that I've referenced before, and I was digging into it to find the way that they phrase some things. Let me see here. This is Structural, Functional, and Metabolic Brain Differences as a Function of Gender Identity or Sexual Orientation, a systematic review of the human neuroimaging literature by Frigerio et al., published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior in 2021. And the way that they broke down those hypotheses, the reason why I had them on top of my head, they have what they call the born that way theory and the what did they call the other one? The so-called gender theory is what they call that. And they identify, they go on to say, actually, both gender identity and sexual orientation seem to develop under two main principles of influence, biological and environmental, and as a result of interaction between culture and nature and blah, 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 blah. And so like,
of course. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this is not news. That's in their introduction section. That's not something that they come to a conclusion on. And so like, this is the academic standard as far as I know from my background and from everything that I've read and everything that I've been exposed to.
Yeah.
If that's not enough to get through to somebody who considers himself a scientist to like look at what's written in literal introductory textbooks and at least just ask the question of, okay, why do people think this? And like, maybe I can dig it. If that's not good enough, then I don't know what one more book's going to add to it, but I wish you all the best with your book and I hope it helps and I hope it's worth it.
Yeah. I'm wanting some feedback on it. Would you be open to me emailing you about it, or can you recommend someone else who might be?
I would not, and it's not because I don't like you. It's because I have absolutely zero time for the stuff that even I'm doing. So I would not be able to review somebody else's work too.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone that you can recommend?
Not off the top of my head, but I encourage you to check out. I think we've got a Discord for the line, don't we? Do we have? Yeah, like maybe there's some folks
associated with the Patreon, though. I think
if you want to join the Patreon, be on the Discord and share stuff there, you can, or leave it in the comments under one of these videos and talk about it there. As long as you're not spamming with self promotion, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would be interested to talk to you about it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah. All right. Have an awesome rest of your day, Jason.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, sorry I covered that the whole thing. I was just talking about all the things.
That's okay. That person tried to call last show, and I was like, I basically was like, you should email Forrest. Because I was like, how am I going to give you advice on like biology and transness? Like, I don't know anything about that. I mean, I know generally, but.
Nah, you don't know what it means to be trans.
Exactly.
But like, you need to talk to me, the cisgender biologist, and I will tell you what it means. Mm-hmm. But like, it's good timing because literally this is my binder that I keep random, like I keep papers and shit to read. And I was literally just like looking over that one just the other day.
Nice.
I was digging through. I've got a few in here that are pretty cool. I've got for people who are interested. Hold on a second. Got a bunch about sex and gender in here, but I have this one. There we go. I was looking at conservatism and neural circuitry of threat. Economic conservatism predicts greater amygdala. BNST, that's the bed nucleus of the stria terminalis, connectivity during periods of threat versus safety. So it's talking about differences in the brain to deal with concern. And then also this one is political ideology correlated with brain structure, pre-registered replication. And so I haven't gotten too far into these yet, but I was digging into them a little bit because I want to know. There has been that talk for a long time about like, do conservatives have legitimately different brains?
Yeah.
And there's this idea that like people on the left have bigger parts of their brains associated with empathy, and people on the right have bigger parts of their brains associated with fear. I don't know how super duper true that is, but I want to know. And so I'm kind of digging into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting area of research.
It is very, very cool. I'm going to look really quickly here if I blew it on something. No, you can't see that. That's fine. I held up my notebook and I realized I've also got some notes in here about businesses. So it looks like you can't read anything, which is good. Let's talk next to Patrick, who describes himself as liberal, pronouns he, him, who wants to talk about violence in Israel. Patrick, you are on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Hey, not bad. Thanks for taking my call. So I guess my contention is the whole Israel-Gaza situation. I have no problem saying that a lot of ugly and bad things have happened, but when you say genocide, I'm just not quite sure that clicks with me. Well, what do you mean by that? What do you think we should mean by that?
It's a specific legal definition. It's a crime, to be clear, with a very clear definition. Yeah. Are you not familiar with the UN's definition of genocide?
I've heard it, but my understanding of that definition is basically Israel could have nuked Gaza, and unless they could prove specifically they were nuking it to kill everyone because of their racial group, it wouldn't count under that specific definition. So it's more of a motive thing than a results thing.
Yeah, that is the big hang-up with the definition of genocide. It is any one of 5 very specific actions with the intention of destroying a racial, political, ethnic, religious group, either in whole or in part. So either completely eliminating or they're at the very least just reducing their size. And that's that word intention. That is the biggest thing, because you have to, if there was no intention clause, then any war ever would be called genocide, right? But you have to say they have the intention of eliminating this racial, this ethnic, this political, this religious, whatever this group may be. And it just so happens that we have that in spades. We have Ben-Gvir saying the only thing that needs to enter Gaza is hundreds of tons of explosives, not 1 ounce of humanitarian aid. We have Daniel Hagari saying the emphasis must be on damage, not accuracy. We have Isaac Herzog saying the entire nation out there is responsible. We have Ariel Kalner saying, right now there is one goal, Nakba, a Nakba that will overshadow the Nakba of 48, Nakba in Gaza and Nakba to anyone who dares to join them. We have Benjamin Netanyahu saying, we will turn them to rubble. I'm telling the people of Gaza, get out of there now. We're about to act on everywhere and with all force. We have Yoav Gallant saying there will be no food, no electricity, no fuel. We are fighting human animals and we will act accordingly. Just a couple of weeks ago, Ben-Gvir said of the people of Lebanon that for every tear shed by an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep, and we will destroy their entire country and destroy their entire civilization because this land is ours. We have repeated statements when we see, not even just their outward statements, when we see differences in punishment. Again, this is because it's an apartheid state, but especially when we see the way their punishments are kept out, where Palestinian prisoners are hung, whereas non-Palestinians are not. And Palestinian prisoners can be hanged for their offenses without they're being detained without charge, without trial, and they're facing a more gruesome, more severe, more extreme kind of death penalty than any Israeli, any Jew, any other, any non-Palestinian person would ever be subject to. So the way they talk about these people, the way they treat these people, the fact that even if we didn't have their statements, the fact that there are just thousands of tons of food sitting at the border of Gaza, unable to go in because the Israeli government will not allow it in. And we know that people there are starving. When we see that the Israeli government repeatedly says, all 2 million people in Gaza will be punished, will be starved, will be bombed, will be killed. When we have reports from the UN when the UN concluded, I believe last year, that what they are doing is absolutely genocide, and then published this year this report, which I'll put in the chat. This is a news article. Oh, fuck. This is from the UN News here. Israel continues to commit genocide and atrocity crimes by deliberately targeting Palestinian children. UN Independent Commission finds. That is the title of the report. I just put it there in the chat. And that report is published because we continue to have case after case after case after case after case of Palestinian children with sniper bullets in their heads and chests. Those snipers aren't firing blindly into a crowd. They're fucking snipers. We are doing this deliberately. When we have reports of toys, children toys, packed with explosives deliberately to target children and blow them up when they go to pick up a teddy bear or a soccer ball. You don't need the government coming out right and saying this entire civilization will be punished. We are going to send nothing but bombs to the civilization. They will not get an ounce of aid. We will wipe them all out. They are animals. We don't need them saying that to demonstrate their intent to commit genocide. And yet we also do have those things as well. So it's pretty undeniable when they are doing at least 3, arguably all 5 of the very specific actions which constitute genocide, and have very clear stated intent, both verbally stated intent and through their actions shown intent to eradicate this population and ethnically cleanse this area. It's pretty fucking obvious for me.
Okay, that's definitely a lot of information. I guess
I haven't even scratched the surface, my dude.
I'm not really even I'm not disagreeing with any of this factually, because honestly, I don't have enough facts to disagree or agree with it. I guess my question to you would be, like, usually when we talk about conflicts, we don't talk about the conflicts themselves being genocidal, but like acts within. Like, there were a lot of genocides during World War II. We don't usually call World War II a genocide. We call, like, the Holocaust a genocide, because those were the genocidal actions that happened, well, a little bit broader than just World War II, but that happened during roughly that time period. So
sure.
I guess my question would be, like, if we went back and, like, looked at the rhetoric and a lot of these other things that you have brought up in conflicts like World War II or other wars, like, would we end up saying that all of these conflicts are genocidal? Or no. Basically, I'm worried there seems to be, like, not some difference breaker between conflicts that have genocide in them but aren't genocidal and, like, this conflict.
As I just very thoroughly laid out, the difference is the intention by a government or by whatever who's leading the charge here, the intention to eliminate or to destroy a particular group of people, their race, their ethnicity, their political party, their whatever, either in whole or in part, to either severely diminish their numbers or to eradicate them completely. And that doesn't mean one of the protected groups here is not just people on the other side of the war, right? When we're fighting in World War II and we're going out there and we're going to kill the Nazis, we're not committing genocide against Nazis because we are in the middle of a war with them. If we were going out and saying we are going to eliminate the Germans and make sure that anybody who looks like this, acts like this, is of this faith, is of this ethnicity, whatever, we are going to cause severe bodily or physical or mental harm to them. We are going to make it impossible for them to have children. We are going to deprive them of food. We are going to bomb not just their soldiers, but their schools and their hospitals and their churches and their refugee camps, and deliberately go out of our way to target civilians and civilian infrastructure and civilian necessities, and to give them food that is poisoned and laced with drugs, and to play the sounds of crying children from drones to draw them out of their hiding holes, to then kill them in the streets, to double tap strikes, to attack not just the children, but then attack the same place 5 minutes later to kill the doctors too. In those situations, yes, then we could call that a genocide. But fighting a war where you are deliberately staying away from civilians and you are doing your best to only attack combatants, no, that's not a genocide. Do civilians get caught up in war? Abso-fucking-lutely. But the Israeli military themselves have said that they have about an 83% civilian casualty rate. 83% of the time when they shoot a gun, they hit a civilian. 83% of the time. If you were in a war, and we can go back to say the same one, World War II, if you found out today that the United States was fighting the Nazis and 83% of the time they were just killing random German civilians, I don't think that you would have a hard time saying we fucked up really bad and we need to be held accountable for that shit. Same exact thing now goes for Israel. The Israel.
I don't disagree. Like, if I looked at the statistics of World War II and said, like, 83% of the people killed when we attacked were civilians, yeah, I agree, we fucked up. But, like, fucked up is different than genocide. And I'm going to actually disagree a little bit and said, you can even genocide combatants, because it all depends on, like, the motive when you pull that trigger.
If we fucked up by killing 83% of the people that we kill were civilians, if we fucked up doing that while saying out loud that all Germans need to die and that we will be taking over that land and showing maps of Germany with a U.S. flag over it to say this is where we're going to be next, and saying that all Germans are responsible for anything that their Nazi party does, and like, then yes, that is absolutely literally the definition of what a genocide is.
Earlier, when I asked about the comparison in these conflicts, I'm assuming most of these statements you listed, I'm sure they're true. But I'm assuming most of them are not, like, listed somewhere on, like, official government sites as this is our official position. And, like, I imagine during World War II, I could find a lot of random politicians, generals, saying pretty deplorable things even about the Germans. It's just, I'm assuming that, like, we never took the official policy of let's murder all the Germans, even if some of our generals and politicians probably said things like that, right? So that's the gap I kind of want to cross. I agree. There are people out there. I agree there have been genocidal acts in this conflict, 100%. Simply because, yeah, I have no doubt some Israeli soldier out there has pulled a trigger or dropped a bomb while thinking, I want to kill these people because they are these people. Not because,
Patrick,
even if the people who are holding guns on the other side.
Still saying this when, like, I don't know if maybe you don't know all the names of the people that Forrest mentioned earlier. It's an official government policy, and it's official government, like, workers and representatives of Israel's interest who are saying we want to eliminate the Palestinians. Like, they're not mincing words. They're being very direct. We're not talking about individual acts of certain soldiers. We're talking about the entire machinery and everybody behind the machinery, and many of the soldiers themselves actually having these beliefs as well, which is why they feel so comfortable doing, like, all these dehumanizing acts that we've seen them. Like, they are recording themselves desecrating the homes of people who they have displaced, like, you know, putting on women's clothes and, like, making fun of children's toys that have been left behind and stuff. Like, it's like systemic, and it's individual soldiers. Like, I don't understand why you're like, I'm trying to draw a distinction between the acts. I would be able to grant you this, Patrick, if Palestine had a fucking army that was like a formal military fighting back, and there was like battle lines being drawn and warfare occurring, like two equals on an equal footing, I could see that. I could see maybe calling that a war. But what we have are children with stones and makeshift bombs made in, like, basements versus a multi-billion-dollar military-industrial complex paid for by yours truly, like, paid for by us. And like, with all this very explicit intent, and, like, we can demonstrate intent without all of those statements, but they are very comfortable just explicitly saying, yes, we're trying to get rid of all Palestinians. It's like, this is such a clear-cut issue, like beyond reasonable, definite. Like, it would be so clear if we got these people in, like, international court, it would be over immediately, which is why they won't, like, they won't, like, Netanyahu will not travel to countries where he would be extradited to be held in international court. Like, yeah, it's very clear to everyone involved.
but like even if they got him in a court, an international court, do you think they'd like find like the conflict to be a genocide, or do you think they'd point to like a certain set of specific, like this strike here or this attack here, and call that the genocide, and that's what he'd actually be convicted on?
You have to look at the whole thing.
I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how they would break those things down. All I know is that they have done actions that are tantamount to genocide, and they have done things that classify genocide. So I would call this whole conflict genocide. And when I say conflict, I mean very clearly, I mean what they are doing by going into Gaza and killing tens of thousands of innocent people over the actions of some terrorists, and blaming one attack 3 years ago as if history started in that very moment for everything that they've ever done. And the idea that 1,200 people being killed by terrorists means that now almost 80,000 people can be killed in self-defense. We were on 9/11. Fucking, what was it? 3,000 Americans were killed. I believe it was 3. Maybe it might have been 5. But I'm pretty sure it was 3. 2001. Yeah. But 2001. I thought you were casting the fucking year. Jesus Christ.
I thought the number in the towers was 2,000, but it could be higher.
But then plus the Pentagon and the one plane that went
fair.
down. Yeah. The point is, you've got around 3,000 people dead. More than twice as many people as Hamas killed on October 7th. Does that give us license to go kill 200,000 random people across Iraq and Afghanistan? Well, we fucking did anyway. We did something very similar to that.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, I'm not quite sure where you're going with this.
But the difference was, we weren't constantly saying that all Iraqis, all Afghanis, all Muslims, all Middle Easterners, all these people are all responsible, and therefore they should all be killed and removed from their lands, and this will now be United States territory. Then what we were doing would have been genocide. Right now, it's just a bunch of war crimes.
I lived through that period, and I feel like some people were definitely saying those kind of things. Now, maybe you're right. Maybe those people were just too random.
Is a war criminal, like they're for sure.
But I want to be clear. What we're describing are war crimes, not genocide. Some people did say a lot of genocidal things during that time. I went to school with a lot of them. But the president and major members of the military did not. They said really stupid things. They talked about it in really dumb ways. They committed a lot of war crimes. But if you have clips of George W. Bush and key members of the Pentagon coming out and saying, our intention is to destroy everyone in this region and wipe them off the face of the earth, not just the terror combatants, but the civilians too, that is where we get now that intention. That part we're saying now, okay, there's very clear they're going after a people group, not a combatant group. And that is what we're talking about here in Palestine, where we have repeatedly, from the words of these government ministers, including the prime minister himself, out of their own mouths, this entire group is responsible. 2 million people will suffer, and if they don't get out of our way, 2 million people will die because of the actions of this little terror group, which, by the way, we happened to fund a little while ago. That's what we're talking about here.
Well, and maybe that's where my confusion comes from, because I didn't know a lot of the names you were listing off. So I'm assuming from what you're saying, like the people making these statements were the people in charge of deciding where the bombs get dropped and who gets hit and who doesn't, who are responsible for establishing the military policies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. From that understanding that it was the leadership of the military, the people who were deciding when and where and who to strike, that were making the same thing, saying we're just going to strike everyone because of who they are racially or ethnically, then okay, yeah, all right, I understand where the argument's coming from. That makes sense to me.
Yep. Anyway, with that, we've got one more MAGA call before we probably proceed to wrapping up the show. I don't know, we were supposed to go till 8, but
we got to solicit calls. We got to do more calls to action and everything. But yeah, thank you, Patrick. We appreciate your time.
I'm going to put this link as well. I haven't watched this in a while, so I don't remember if this is the one that I'm thinking of, but I'm going to put a link to a thing from France 24, which is a news organization, and they have an interview with this dude. He is a member of the UN Independent Commission on Occupied Palestinian Territory, discussing the evidence for calling this a genocide. This video was published 10 months ago. It is called, quote, "Words from the mouths of Israeli leaders show genocidal content," UN commissioner says. So I encourage you to check that out. Again, I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen that video in a long time, but I think that's one that also has a lot of direct quotes and direct lines where you can see, here is this government official saying this shit. And again, like I said a minute ago, even if they never said anything, I agree that the United States committed a lot of fucking war crimes in the war on terror and shit, and we killed a lot of fucking civilians in that time. We should be held accountable for that. What we did not do is plant explosives in children's toys and shoot children in the head on purpose to make sure there were less children in this area to carry on the next generation. What we did not do is create a population with the highest number of amputees in the entire world because we keep blowing up children. What we did not do was limit food and medical supplies from going to civilians in that region to make sure that the civilian population suffered as much as possible. What we did not do was kill civilians while they were fishing to make sure that they did not have any food. These are things we did not do. And these are things that Israel is doing. We also didn't use fucking white phosphorus, which Israel is also doing as well. But even without these quotes, the actions alone of that Israel is taking in Gaza are so far beyond any kind of reasonable, justification. It is very fucking obvious they are doing this deliberately to hurt as many people as possible and cause severe psychological trauma and to make conditions of life in this area unlivable. They are committing genocide.
Okay, thanks. I'll go check out that video.
Right on, man. Take care.
Bye. Okay, listen.
By the way, still can't wait for the person in chat to call and tell me how I'm lying.
Yeah. Listen, if you're in the chat and you've got something to say, we don't really watch the chat. We don't really respond to y'all. If you have something you want to say, we have lines open. We are going to be here for another hour taking calls, or just talking, whatever we have to do to fill the time. But 336-543-2101. If for some reason you want to call from outside the US, we have a web caller as well. It's probably linked in the description, but mostly when we're talking about U.S. politics, we want to talk about what's going on with U.S. foreign policy or shit happening within the United States, because unfortunately we kind of are the big dick on the national stage. What we do matters to everybody, so that's unfortunate. But we are going to be taking calls for a while longer. But
holy fuck!
Upcoming.
Sorry.
What, you complaining about something?
No, you were just saying we don't interact with the chat, and then the same person who says that we're lying about all this stuff just gave the dumbest, laziest fucking thing. There would be more bodies if that was true. Bitch. Do you think we haven't heard that shit? Do you think that people haven't talked about this shit? Are you kidding me?
You mean all of the ones that are buried under all of the destroyed buildings? Anyway, so yeah, but listen, call in 336-543-2101. We have time because, listen, later tonight, something very exciting is happening. We've got lots of very exciting things happening right now, but later tonight, something in particular very exciting, which is the kind of relaunch of The Line Has a Podcast, The Line's podcast. Did you know that The Line has a podcast? It's called The Line Has a Podcast. And Jimmy and Jovan are going to be kind of revamping it, revitalizing it. There's a new app that's available for our patrons. It's a whole thing going on. Check out the Patreon for more information on that. Patreon.com/calltheline to get access to our news app, because they're talking about the news on that podcast over there. And the patrons are going to help curate the news that appears on the podcast. And it's going to be a good time. So check that out later tonight. We're basically just going to redirect you right over to that when we get done here, which is why we're going to be staying here taking calls for another hour, 10 minutes. And also this weekend, LineCon Online. Speaking of Patreon, the $15 or more tier gets you a live ticket to our once a month event that we do where our hosts give a 20-minute talk on something of their expertise. We've got Jovan Thinker and John Godless Engineer this weekend giving those talks. And then there's a 1-hour Q&A session afterwards that y'all get to participate in. And if you join for $5 on the Patreon, you can see the video on demand afterwards. Not live participation, but you at least get to see the stuff afterwards. So yeah, check out Patreon. It's a consistent way to support the show. We do appreciate your super chats, but we're not reading them today. So if you want to maybe get more from your contribution, joining us on Patreon is a great way to do that. So yeah, still waiting for more calls. Come on, a couple more people just dropped in.
A couple people here.
Listen,
we have one that's just got
fill
the
those
screen
lines up. I want 8 calls waiting. 336-543-2101. MAGA, get in here. We're socialists, and I'm transgender. Let's talk about it.
Right. So here we have like an old favorite. We got Nazi John calling in. From Arizona, who says he supports Trump and Israel because the left is destroying Western civilization.
Okay.
Massive fucking, white supremacist red flag right there in the middle of that statement. And I bet you fucking anything that when we start this call, we're going to get a hearty, healthy stream of bitching about how everyone you disagree with is a Nazi, and you don't even know what a Nazi is. So let's talk to John for a second. And this is your fault, callers. If you don't like us talking to this fucking idiot, then this is your fault that you're not calling in. And then we have, looks like 2 people in the screen room. So I'll take them next. But in the meantime, let's talk to John, who wants to talk about why he supports a pedophile and somebody committing genocide. John, you're on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
Never had a bad day.
Yeah, look, this is all my personal opinion. I'm a Zionist. You say I'm a fucking Nazi. That makes about as much sense as Nazis for Israel makes about as much sense.
I love the fact that literally in the chat, just before I picked up the phone with you, we had somebody put in in quotes, "This is all my opinion," says John. And that's literally the first thing you say. It's great. Yeah, dude, being a Nazi doesn't exclusively and only mean wanting to kill Jews. Funny enough, it's actually just a term we use to describe policies, practices, and procedures that align with Nazi ideology and behaviors. And that's what you're exhibiting here and what you usually exhibit when you call in. But by all means, tell us more about why you support a pedophile and a nation that's committing genocide.
Okay, so the definition of a Nazi, the definition of racism, the definition of a woman.
What did I say? What did I say he was going to do? What did I say he was going to do? He's going to fucking argue about this.
No, I'll talk about Israel. Look, Israel's a Western satellite. Israel's our ally. Israel helped the U.S. win the Cold War. It's not a genocide.
Okay, when you were right that they're a Western satellite
at all. It's crazy.
You are right that they are a Western satellite. They are something implanted in the middle of West Asia, which is furthering the agenda of Christian nationalists and white nationalists in the West in order to, so like, sure, I can agree with that. But also you saying it's not a genocide. We just had a whole call where we explained what genocide is. And I don't think even after that call that you would know the definition of the word.
Well, just when societies start wars and refuse to surrender, it's their fault. And I paralleled to Imperial Japan, and nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki was the right decision. It was their fault, just like it's the fault of
exactly like Trump, who just started war in Iran and refuses to surrender, despite the fact that he's gotten his ass handed to him several times.
Why would we surrender?
Because we started the war.
We're a superpower. We're the superpower. We could decimate them in fucking one day if we wanted.
Ah, that's right. I forgot that John is the one who believes that might makes right.
Yeah,
and whoever has the biggest dick gets to make the rules.
I guess because we can, that means it's okay that we do.
But if we give societies an opportunity to surrender and they don't, that's their fault. It's their moral failure.
So you think that it's more moral to surrender? So we should be surrendering.
No, Iran should be surrendered.
Oh, but we started the war, and we started the war by bombing a school and killing a bunch of little girls. So don't we have the moral responsibility to surrender?
This has been in place since 1979. Okay,
us killing little girls has been in place since 1979. What are you talking about?
No, that was an accident. The school was an accident.
We double tapped it.
Is that why I was going to say, is that why we did it twice? Because it was an accident the first time, so we did it again to make sure it was an accident?
Bad intelligence. We didn't do that on purpose. You know that.
I actually have a question, John. Let's assume for a second that it was an accident. Do you think that kind of accident is acceptable for us to? We should just be like, yeah, it's okay that sometimes our government makes mistakes that result in the deaths of literal little girls, like just an entire school of little children. You're willing to accept that as like you're not going to hold your government to a higher standard and say like, wow, you should not have done that. Like you need to fix things so that never happens again. Because that's how I feel.
Look.
I feel like our government should be accountable.
During war, look, there's things that the Allies did in WW2 that I just
focus. I need you to focus on the question. Let's refocus on the question. You're meandering on something else. Do you think?
No, I'm not.
Do you think you should hold your government to a higher standard when they make mistakes during war? Sure. That's it. You're like, okay, that sounds like you're very passionate.
Then go do that, John.
Yeah,
go do that and stop supporting a pedophile.
Because what you're doing is you're doing apologetics for that. So doing apologetics for the government making a mistake of that, John. When you say, oh, it's an accident, therefore it's not a big deal, which is the implication of what you're saying. You're like, it's an accident. Let's move past it. Let's refocus on the bigger issue. What I'm saying is there is no such thing as an accident that results in the deaths of children that we can just breeze past. We don't breeze past that. We say, nope, that shouldn't have happened. That was unacceptable. We started a war by murdering their children. They were civilians. That there is no situation in which that's an acceptable mistake. So what you are doing instead is the opposite of asking for accountability. Rather, you should be demanding accountability. But instead of demanding accountability, you're saying, shit happens. Not a big deal. And I just do not understand that perspective. I cannot understand doing apologetics for murder of children that you paid for. You paid for that. You killed those children by proxy. Your tax dollars.
It wasn't done on purpose.
That doesn't matter, John. Holy fuck. Focus. That doesn't matter. That's inconsequential. That's inconsequential to what I'm trying to say.
It very obviously was, and also, even if it wasn't, that changes nothing about what Lux just said. Nothing at all.
Look.
We're looking.
The U.S. Look. The U.S. would not deliberately do that. It was.
No, we just killed children through our negligence. We just kill children because, like we just walk by a school of children and accidentally kill all of them in it. That's not okay. That laissez-faire attitude toward the murder of children is not acceptable. John, what is wrong with you, actually?
Listen
like, there is genuinely something wrong with you if you're like, I don't care about that very much. Because what you're communicating to me is that you don't care about that very much.
Just let me know when I can talk and not be interrupted.
Okay,
you were literally trying to interrupt me, and I was not done with my statement. But if you would like to start now, that
go ahead. Just take all the time you want. Just let me know when I can go.
Okay, I'll let you know. So, like, the biggest thing that I think Lux is trying to get across here, and that I think all of us need to understand, is that even if this was an accident, which it very obviously wasn't, we had, like, literally the most precise fucking military in the world. We have ridiculous technology. We can fucking blast the hairs off of an ant's asshole from fucking space with the military that we have. And yet, we just accidentally, with tremendous amounts of intelligence, tremendous amounts of satellite imagery, tremendous amounts of information about what's going on there in the ground, happen to not just hit this girls' school once, but fucking twice, back to back. Come the fuck on. But even if it was a complete accident, you should be outraged by it. And you should demand that your drunkard of a fucking Secretary of War, who, by the way, has only had one war and was forced to surrender through it, and is still fucking arguing, fighting after a war they surrendered, by the way. Whole other thing. That this fucking drunk should step down from a shitty position because he's unqualified, uneducated, and incapable of doing this fucking job, as are most people in Trump's cabinet. And more importantly, when you have this kind of thing going on, not just there, but like across the board, you should be extremely angry to be represented so poorly by your government. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is when you come up here and you not only say, like, this is excusable, but I support it. And we're talking about genocide in Gaza. And you're like, well, I mean, it's not. But the UN says that it is. The ICZ. Hey, you said I was supposed to let you know when you could talk. I haven't said you can talk yet. Anyway, But the ICC says it's genocide. The ICJ says that it's genocide. Genocide scholars around the world say that it's genocide. Literally anybody with a functional brain that knows the definition of the word genocide can tell you that it's a genocide and why it's a genocide. And yet you're up here looking at these things, looking at all of these crimes, looking at this gross incompetence by our government and horrific competence by the Israeli government and saying, you know what, actually, I'm into this shit. I'm in support of it. That indicates to us that you're just a genuinely bad person. Because, like we said earlier on with, I think it was John, the other John that called in a little while ago, and we talked about how MAGA, this is how I started the show, by the way, in case you didn't know. We said that MAGA has no morals, has no values, has no ideals of their own, has nothing to stand on that actually makes the world a better place, that they actually want to fight for and work for. All they have is blind loyalty to their God King, Donald Trump, and hatred for everybody that Donald Trump tells them to hate, namely non-white immigrants and trans people. That other John proved our point over and over and over and over. And I feel like you're doing the same thing here by just showing us that at the end of the day, whatever Trump daddy says goes. That's the law. That's what it is. Big and strong means correct. We could hurt people more. And the fact that we're not doing that means that we're somehow moral. Like it's a very weak, small person's idea of what a big, strong person and a big, strong government would do. That's who this kind of thing panders to. And that's what makes me so fucking just absolutely disgusted, beyond disgusted with the whole MAGA movement. Y'all are anti-American, anti-Constitution, anti-freedom, anti-morality. You're literally here simping for a pedophile. And that's, you've taken issue with me calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide, yet to contradict me on the fact that you support a pedophile, because I think we both know that I'm right on that. You're literally here running apologetics for war crimes, running apologetics for genocide, running apologetics for pedophilia, running apologetics for the destruction of everything this country is built upon, everything that we were taught in school this country was all about, all the things that made America great, for this fantasy of making America great again. Who knows what the fuck that's supposed to mean? It's fucking sad, man. It's really, really fucking sad. If you actually gave half a shit about anything besides yourself, you would be strongly opposed. I say strongly opposed in the most benign way. You would be an extremist by your worldview at this moment. You would be livid, beside yourself, screaming from the rooftops about this fucking traitorous, anti-Constitution, anti-American government. A president who says on camera that he doesn't even know if he should have to follow the Constitution in the first place. You would be losing your fucking mind and doing shows like we do, sitting here and talking about what a piece of shit that guy is. But you don't, because at the end of the day, you care more about your bottom line, you care more about your comfort, you care more about your safety. You care more about your quote-unquote Western civilization and all the white supremacist fucking talking points and ideologies that come along with that dumbass framework. That's what you care about. You're selfish. You're just a selfish and ignorant person. And that's what we see from you every time you call in, man. Every time you call in, it's always might makes right, and those people over there aren't me over here, so I don't really care what happens because they're over there and I'm over here. That's what happens every fucking time. God, it sucks. Lux, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I want to give John a second to.
Okay, now,
respond.
John, you can speak.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot there. Okay.
I hung up on him.
Oh, fuck, dude. That's great.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have because we don't have another spicy call waiting. But I just listen. Sometimes it's worth it for the comedy.
It's very funny. You know what? If it was somebody that we respected and wanted to have a conversation with, maybe that would be a rude thing to do. But at the end of the day, like, fucking bros calling in to tell us why fucking Donald, I hope my daughter has big tits when she isn't a baby anymore, Trump is the guy that fucking we all should be supporting, and why Israel fucking white phosphorus bombing kids, bombing refugee camps, fucking putting bombs in pagers to blow up people in densely populated markets and kill children. Those motherfuckers are actually the bastion of peace and Western civilization. Fuck your Western civilization. Your Western civilization was built on genocide and colonialism and war and rape and monstrous fucking behavior. You want to talk about fucking pedophilia and cannibalism and incest? Western fucking civilization, the backbone of your white Christian society, is all of those things. And if your society, your morally and intellectually superior civilization, cannot exist without the continued rape and exploitation of brown-skinned people around the fucking world, your civilization doesn't deserve to fucking exist in the first place. Get the fuck over it. Get a better civilization. Argue for something better. Quit defending the dog shit that you've been fucking sitting on for the past 2,000 years and work towards something better. That's all we're trying to do over here. But all you fucking have is hatred for the people you're told to hate and blind loyalty to your God King. That's all you fucking got. Loser fucking energy, dude.
Dry pee-pee energy. As Jimmy would say.
Let's talk to Joseph, who's calling in as a socialist to say something that I strongly disagree with. Joseph, you're on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Hi there, I'm doing well. How about yourselves?
I'm all right.
Chilling.
Good. But yeah, I wanted to call in today and talk about Israel and why I believe it should not exist and why I don't think that as long as it exists, there can never be peace in the Middle East. Just to clarify, I don't support, sorry.
Yep. No, go ahead. Finish your sentence.
Just to clarify, I'm not advocating for a reformed Israel. I'm not advocating for, we just need someone nicer in. That's not a part of the Likud party. I'm not advocating for anything like that. I'm advocating for the dissolution of the state of Israel.
And how would you go about doing that?
So, I mean, it would be very easy. First thing you'd have to do is give the land back to the Palestinians who were removed through things like the Nakba, through things like give land back to the people who had their land taken from them through the Nakba. And once that happens, then you can start.
And how do you take that land from the civilians, the innocent Israeli civilians who are not participating in what their government is doing, who strongly oppose what their government is doing and have done, who are born there and have no say over how that land was established in the first place? What do you do with those people?
Literally nothing. They would just become Palestinian Jews or Palestinian whatevers, Palestinian Armenian Christians, Palestinian like they were before under the Ottoman Empire.
So your argument is not to dissolve the population of Israel, because I was about to get extremely mad at you.
No. Never.
You're saying that the government specifically of Israel should no longer exist, and that a new government should be put in place, namely a Palestinian government.
Yes. I'm advocating for a one-state solution based on a Palestinian state, which were the original people who lived there.
Mm-hmm. So, just out of curiosity, do you think the same thing of the United States?
Yes, 100%. I would totally be in favor of returning the land back to every single tribe. And, because these people are not genocidal monsters, they're not imperialists, they will hopefully let me live in my house if I promise to be a productive member of their society.
Lux, what do you think?
I don't know. Honestly, I kind of had a stroke for a second there, and I don't know what we're talking about.
We're talking about dissolving the Israeli government and saying this government has been established in a terrible way and is doing terrible things. Therefore, this government no longer has the right to control this region as it does. And so this government should be destroyed. The people who live in this area stay exactly where they are, but a new government is put in. So just a regime change in Israel, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, right? Like, how many generations into colonization does it make sense to remove a people group? Uh, like, it's only been a few generations, but there's people who are like born there. There's a really interesting series of graphic novels about Avatar: The Last
I just want to
Airbender,
clarify,
and
I do not
yeah.
support removing a people group. I do not support removing any people group from their homes, from the places they live, from the businesses that they control, anything like
with this
that.
kind of restitution is that you do have like multiple generation Palestinian homes that were just like given to Israeli settlers. So there is like this, that is part of the question. That absolutely has to be part of the question of divesting from like getting the Israeli
Obviously,
government out of there.
if it's a refugee's home, if it's a Palestinian refugee's home, that home belongs to the Palestinian and to their family.
Yeah, but how do you prove it? Because
the only
Israel
thing that's
destroyed
fair.
all of the paperwork. So I'm just saying that it's complicated. What I'm saying is that it's complicated.
Because these Palestinians still own the keys to their homes.
I'm also coming at this. I mean, if you've changed the locks and you threw away the old locks, then what proof do you have that that key ever went to that house? I mean, like, what I'm saying is that it's complicated. What, Forrest?
No, I was just saying I'm also not a lawyer, so I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are.
Work.
We've never decolonized a place before. This would be a whole new world, a thing that we've never done before.
That's not true, actually. That's not true. Can I give you a historical example?
Yeah, I guess so.
Sure.
So in the 1950s and 60s, the French Algerians, the Pied Noir, controlled the northern half of Algeria for 100 plus years. I'm sorry I'm being so loud. Everyone's telling me to be quiet. I'm sorry I'm Italian, guys. I'm sorry. But they controlled, the French controlled northern Algeria for 100 plus years. They called themselves Africans. They believed that they were natives to the land. They believed that they owned the land. They believed that it was as French as the metropolis of Paris, for example. The FLN, the National Liberation Movement, which people then called a terrorist organization and probably still do, liberated the country. They did not throw out anybody from their homes. There was a mass migration of French North Africans from French North Africa to places like France, but that was a voluntary movement of people. That was not a government policy of the FLN.
And how many generations deep was that, out of curiosity? Yeah, sorry if I
missed that. It was longer. No, that's okay. It's longer than Israel currently exists now.
Okay, interesting.
It's 120 years. Yeah. For example, and there was the same thing was happening there. They were saying in French Algeria, it's a very famous quote. Muhammad Ali, he said they had nothing but a rifle. French had all these mechanized tools of warfare, but the Algerians brought some guerrilla action on them. I think I'm quoting that right.
I'm going to look this up because I've never heard of this, and I don't want to
you should
agree to an example.
Check out this book called... Sorry. There's this book called A Savage War of Peace by... I don't have it on me, but it's a very famous book, Savage War of Peace. And it's all about the conflict in French Algeria. And I actually do a history podcast where I talk all about what happened in French Algeria during this time and how it becomes the state of Algeria and how the culture and history of Algeria was maintained throughout French colonization and genocide, which is exactly what happened in Algeria. And like I was saying before, the same thing was postulated there, right? They wanted to separate the land. They wanted a European beachhead. So the French and the Italians and all the Spaniards, all the colonizers, they would be up on the northern flank. Like think Algiers, places like that today, the big cities. And in the interior, that's where all the Arabs, North Africans, Berbers would be. Now,
I will look this up because I don't know anything about this, and I'm not going to speak about so I don't know if you're doing this, so I'm not accusing you of anything. But we've had callers before that talk about something historical, and they are giving us an extremely biased view of it that is actually based in some fucked up racist thing that we don't know enough about that topic. And so I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, well, that sounds great. Do it that way. And then I dig into it and I find out, yeah, and then they fucking slaughtered everybody that disagreed. And they it was this horrible thing, So I don't know anything about this. I don't know where you're coming from. I'm not accusing you of anything. But until I know more about this, I'm not going to say whether or not this is a good template. I'm just going to say what you're saying sounds interesting.
Totally fine.
And I fully intend, like, the fact that you're saying that you think that you should be talking about a regime change, that a government should be done away with and be replaced with a better government, a state should be changed out, a state name, rather than saying these people need to be ripped from their homes, there needs to be some violent uprising, that these people need to be removed, that Israel, as in terms of Israelis, the nation of Israel, should not exist, as opposed to the state of Israel. I think that's a conversation that's interesting to have. It is so far outside of my area or my field that I would have to dig into it a little while first to see what would be reasonable and possible, because it's very, very easy and very, very flowery and very, very safe to just say, give the indigenous people their land back and they'll do something good with it. We don't know that, and I don't know what that looks like.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'll look into this more, but like the big thing for me that I can say in this area is like regime change never goes well in my experience. It's usually something done with political motivation in mind, and I don't trust any state at this moment to really do that appropriately. And I can say,
in my opinion, something worse than regime change. Something worse than regime change is continued colonial occupation and settler colonialism, like Israel is engaged in right now, where they're going into different places periodically and engaged in cutting the grass operations. I think something worse than regime change is a two-state solution, like in India, Pakistan, where millions of people died, and now these two countries are at odds with one another when historically they were intertwined. Or like in Northern Ireland. A woman was just arrested the other day because she was carrying a bomb into Belfast. I think regime change is a little bit better than that, especially if it's a regime change by an indigenous population who have the right to resist their oppressors.
I agree with all of that as long as you put the qualifier "can" in there. Regime change can be better than those things. There's also plenty of situations where it's extremely bloody and violent and leads to more despotism and a worse case for everybody. I don't know how it could be much worse for the Palestinians, but definitely there are Israelis that could be worse off, not just in terms of like being treated equally, but I mean like actually killed. And you would just smear that hurt further rather than abolishing that hurt and trying to correct that wrong in one place. You would just extend it to another place. That's what I'm most worried about with these kinds of things. I'm also not a lawyer nor a politician. So I'm just like I said, I think what you're bringing up here is interesting. The fact that you're coming at this from a way that is a peaceful resolution and just taking away the power of a government that has been shown to not be responsible with that power, I think that's a reasonable thing to say. I also think it's a very easy thing to say, and I think there's a very dangerous, I shouldn't say dangerous, a very risky reality. And so I'm very careful to agree with you because I don't know everything about what that looks like, and I know for sure how fucked up that could be. So I'm just careful about it. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I'm just saying I don't know everything about what you're talking about. It's far outside of my field of expertise, and I think it's an interesting thing to discuss, but we need to be very careful when discussing it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and this, like, we have a template for this. Like, there are examples of multinations inside nations. Like, Belgium has Wallonia and Flanders, right? The Swiss are a bunch of different people all kind of crammed together into their cantons. Even just north of Israel in Lebanon, you have a completely diverse religious society where all kinds of religions get together and work together to make the government work, and that's a part of their constitution. So I mean, the idea that this is some like, we can't conceive of this. It is conceivable, and it is right there. But the problem is, I think the inherent bias, and everyone's inherent bias, be it subconscious or conscious, toward Israel and toward the Israeli state and toward settler colonialism.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't accuse myself of. I mean, maybe you could accuse me of having a bias towards settler colonialism because that could be an implicit thing that I don't recognize. I don't think that I do, but it's reasonable to articulate it. I think that the biggest thing for me is I'm just very cautious around this kind of terminology, especially when talking specifically about Israel. That's why I gave the initial challenge I gave to you is, do you extend the same feelings towards the United States? Because if you would say, no, the United States has been established for so long and blah, 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 then okay, now we are just saying Israel has a different set of rules than everybody else, and that is feeding into the narrative of people who accuse anyone of being critical of Israel of actually being secretly anti-Semitic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that this is an idea that we're saying we should be returning all lands to their indigenous inhabitants, and we could spread that around the whole world with the same thing, and just the standard here isn't Israel specifically needs to be, taken out and eradicated as a state, and that their people need to be displaced and all these things, but instead just saying this government has been shown to be incapable of making a good decision. They are no longer allowed to have the toys they have. And we're just going to do, and the same thing as it when we were at war with, same fucking example as the last caller talking about Nazis and shit. We weren't saying Germany is now no longer allowed to exist and no German shall survive and we're going to take these people out of land. Just this government has shown that it is not being responsible with its power. We're going to take its power away now. I think that's a very reasonable thing to come at it. And I think that the way that you're articulating it is reasonable, but it just sounds extreme on its face. And so I want to make very, very sure and being very, very clear about what we're talking about and what the caveats and addendums and risks and policies and all these things are.
Yes, and I acknowledge, yeah, definitely. And I acknowledge that this is like a pie in the sky idea, like this is not going to happen anytime soon with the way things are, with the governments that are in place. But in the future, at some point, this is going to have to be a conversation because I think this is where the trend is going toward, and we need to decide if it's going to be a violent transition or if it's going to be a peaceful one, because it can be peaceful, because there are examples of it being peaceful. The French didn't make it peaceful for very long in Algeria, but after that, guess what? 20,000 French Algerians still live in Algeria, and they call that place home. And they have full equal rights under Algerian law.
It's an interesting prospect. It's definitely an interesting prospect. It's and I appreciate you saying it's very pie in the sky. And I appreciate you giving me the space to do all these caveats, because I'm sure you can understand that specifically with this, there's a lot of folks out there that want to equate any criticism of Israel or any call to change or remove the Israeli government with the call to destroy all Jews or all Israelis. And there's a lot of people that really do have a hard time separating those concepts, and a lot of people who make a lot of money and do a lot of running apologetics for the Israeli government by pretending to not be able to separate the subjects. And I just can't stress enough to all the leftists out there that don't know how to criticize the Israeli government without sounding like you're criticizing all Israelis or all Jews. Shut the fuck up. You gotta shut the fuck up. And so that's why I'm being so careful with you here, Joseph, is that there's a lot of people like that out there, and I don't want to give them any fodder with what could potentially be a good idea from you. And I also need to vet you. You know what I mean? To make sure that you're not one of those folks.
Yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
we're being very careful with this whole thing. Anyway,
For
with
sure.
that,
And if you
I
guys
think you and I
like-
agree. I think you and I agree that ethno-states shouldn't be a thing, and I think you and I agree that apartheid state shouldn't be a thing. And I think you and I agree that if there has been a harm done, and there definitely has, that we should do whatever we can to try to right that wrong. And that's all it sounds like any of us are talking about, just different measures. So I don't think any of that has an issue. But with that, we're going to move on to probably our last little bit of the show. But I appreciate you calling in, man.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad we were able to have a good conversation.
Most definitely. It was very interesting. Thank you very much. Take care.
Oh boy. Listen, there's so much exciting stuff going on. There's so much exciting stuff happening that's not fucking Gaza. If you, like me, need a break from Gaza.
I think that a lot of people would like a break, but at the end of the day, you can't. I can't. I just have a hard time. I had to force myself to take a break. Because like the other day I was in the car. We just did a road trip across the United States and back. And I was in the car for like 12 hours doing nothing but scrolling through news.
Fun.
And I was getting to the point I was just so like with Palestine, with Trump, with ICE, with just everything.
I gotta say, this seems like a great time for me to pop in and advertise our new Line News app.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier.
Because you're talking about how we got to take breaks from news.
Mm-hmm.
What if we advertise the opposite?
Yeah,
I thought you would find this a funnier time. I thought the irony would seem obvious. So, hey guys, the Line launched a new Line News app called the Line Pod Newsroom, and it is an awesome app for if you like the podcast. Jovan and I are starting up today as a new continuation version of the Line Has a Podcast, but completely renewed and different. And central to this is our new app called the Line Pod Newsroom. You can go and be in the app at linepod.app. You do have to be a patron of at least $10 or above right now, especially at app launch. We may have a lower tier down the road, but essentially we are creating a curated community with our own news feed that is related to the stuff we care about. And so you have your feed, and then you have the newsroom, and the newsroom is the stories that people are talking about from the feed. And then we go through and we read all the stories and we decide which things from the feed in the newsroom to feature on the actual podcast, which will be after the show. And guys, we're early in. There are some bugs and we're working out the bugs, but they're actually not very bad. And the app is actually low-key super dope.
Yeah, it is pretty chill, especially as a person who violently doesn't want to look at the news right now. Like the fact that we can have like our own news feed and it's curated to an extent by our audience. Like the people who are members of the app are like clicking, cover this. I want you to cover this. And those get like risen to the top on certain aspects of the site. So it's like, yeah, I don't have to pay attention to all of the news. I only have to pay attention to the news that I explicitly have to pay attention to for work. Isn't that great?
It's cool too, because we've got different things where you're going to be able to get reputation and Linecoin, which has zero monetary value. You're not going to be able to buy anything real with it. But we're doing fun things with those things. Like we're doing our own prediction market thing where like everybody votes on an outcome that they think is going to happen. And then you end up winning Linecoin on the basis of that, because prediction markets are terrible and evil. But if you made them free and you get no real reward except maybe like badges or something out of it that are digital and have zero value. I mean, NFTs. We're doing a Line NFT. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, in this age where Forrest wants nothing I do to succeed. Do you know what I mean? He's sort of like, what if we take everything that's serious and we actually need to spend some time advertising? And what if I just make it look like a joke always?
Yeah.
But then Forrest will call me and take 4 hours of my time to work out how to get like a bunch of cameras to work for a charity thing that he wants to do and pop off. He wants me to take his shit so seriously. But when it comes time to advertise something, he's like, what if we just make it a joke? And I hope that Jimmy ends up so homeless that all he can do is tech support for me. Anyway, linepod.app, patreon.com/calltheline. And the podcast is right after this show. We are starting at 8:00. It will be the first episode of that. You'll get to see kind of a bit of the app on there. We hope people will be there.
I also want to point out that that charity thing. I just had a meeting with the charity this afternoon, and we're approving the budget. And I'm gonna be sending you a bunch of camera equipment for you to test probably next week. And then I'm going to come down to Texas and pick it up from you shortly after that. So just so you know.
If you never get on the app and if you never actually promote it seriously. Nope, haven't seen that camera equipment. When did you send it? Check the tracking.
I'm just saying. I'll be sending it all to you. It all to you. And if we don't raise $30,000 to reduce teen suicide, it'll be purely because of you and your godforsaken app.
Don't threaten me with a good time. LinePod.app. Also, LineCon is this Saturday for everybody who's $15 and above. There will be talks by Thinker, Jovan, and John Gleason. And those are going to be great as well. So this is a great week to be a member. Right now, the app is purely on the web at linepod.app, but I believe within a few days, if not a week, we will have mobile versions first coming to iOS and then hopefully Android shortly after.
I keep forgetting to join the fucking. We have a Patreon for the line, and Jimmy keeps reminding me, like, hey, if you join the Patreon, then everyone there is already on Patreon, and they'll see your channel, and you'll probably get more people supporting your own Patreon. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to because I keep forgetting to do it because I'm busy with other things.
But then you just do it, and then it's done. I'm not even trying to get money out of them because anybody who works at the line who signs up at the $5 tier, basically, if they want more than that, they can sign up higher. But we refund everybody who works at the line $6 each month if they are on our Patreon. So even if he did the $5 one, he'd get the refund.
I'd literally be making money if I were to do it. Not only from the reimbursement, I would be making $1 a month. But also, I would probably get more patrons on my own Patreon if I were to do it. And yet, here we are. Instead, I'm probably going to go work on some other stuff. I've got the D&D charity thing that we're doing this month. I'm about to start Twitch streaming because Twitch wants me to stream on their platform too. So I'm about to do that. I'm making a Reacteria video that I'm working right now. I'm about to go film the Oklahoma State University Center for Health Sciences and do a whole video about the research they're doing there. That's going to be cool. I'm probably doing a collab with Andy King pretty soon. I'm just all over the place. I'm doing a lot of things. He's a guy. That's cool. He's another YouTube guy, and people were recommending that I look at his channel because he was making videos about Donald James Parker as well. And then I found out that he apparently was inspired to start YouTube by looking at my channel. He's like, you were like the blueprint. And now he's blowing up. He's doing an amazing job. His videos are hilarious. And so we both made videos about Donald James Parker, and now we're talking about maybe collabing as well. And so I've just got that going on. I've got that collab. I'm trying to do a collab with Dr. Ina. She's a psychologist, and we're going to talk about evolutionary psychology for a little bit. I'm doing this thing about the Center for Health Sciences. That's a massive collab work with a bunch of other people. I'm trying to do I'm doing a video about Frank Turek right now. I'm working on that. I'm speaking at NanoCon in 2 days. I leave tomorrow. I got to fly to Nashville tomorrow. Yeah,
that's soon.
So I'm doing that. I've got fucking.
When are you gonna
I'm
come
doing
to the
BajaCon in Canada. I've got BajaCon in Canada at the end of next month. I've got the fucking.
I didn't say LineCon. I don't know why you're ignoring that question. Line has a podcast.
Rockets.
What are you doing?
I'll go that one too.
Yeah. LineCon. I know you're always gonna have a reason.
I want to be on the podcast too. I want to be
put
involved.
them on the podcast. Call them Forrest.
I already know they'll do it. I want to know when you're coming on.
I'm doing Rocket City Reason Conference and Freedom from Religion National Convention, and we got to go to Costa Rica in December and do that thing. And I'm trying to set up for the ones for Peru.
Everyone's con but ours. You do have a Republican
Mexico.
on the line.
Oh, do I? Okay, well, we'll do that next.
Cool.
Anyway, that's what I'm up to.
People get mad if I join in on the calls.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Bye.
I liked your thing with the earlier when the guy was like, you just tell me when I can talk. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you talked about something else. That is a great bit. If you got that bit from somebody, you should definitely credit them because that's a good bit. I love you guys.
I just did it because it seemed funny. Bye. I actually reflexively wanted to say I love you too because I love the guy. He's great. He is genuinely a good person and a good friend, and I like knowing him. But I really like the fact that neither of us said I love you back, and he said it twice. That is very funny.
Oh my god, I didn't even hear. I'm so distracted by prepping for the next call and how stupid you two are being.
Yeah. No, he is. As I said, oh my god. Jimmy is a good friend, and I really like him. It was really. He said, "I love you guys," and he said, "I love you guys," and neither of us said it, and then it was funny, and then he said it again, and neither of us said it, but it got funnier.
I'm so sorry.
Oh fuck, that's funny. Okay, Oh man, I'm gonna call him and bother him later. I'm gonna call him later and bother him with some dumb shit, and he's gonna fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
We got a great show for everybody, and by that I mean we have 20 minutes left and we have one more call. It looks like. Let's talk to Bill. Who wants to talk about the COVID vaccine, I guess, and let's see what this could go one of two ways. Bill, you're on the line with Forrest and Lux. How you doing today?
Forrest, Lex, what's up? I was really hoping to talk to Jimmy because I don't love that little prick either.
He's dead.
Yeah,
he's gone.
Yeah, he's dead to all of us. I've talked to Jimmy, Lex. I think I've talked to you once before. I like what you guys do. I don't disagree with a lot of it, but I like what you guys do. So today's call was just checking in on how everyone's doing with the latest and greatest Fauci news and how all you are feeling with your vaccinations and where things currently stand.
I feel like you have a very pointed example of something that you're waiting to drop on us right now.
No, I'm truly wondering how it feels to be vaccinated and then go through what you're going through right now because I can't relate to it.
What am I going
What are you
through
talking about
at this moment? You're talking about Fauci being called before before Congress and refusing to answer questions?
Of course.
Right. Why would this affect me in any way?
Do you think that Fauci did 20 years of SARS research to give us this vaccine? Because the reason why we got COVID vaccine so quickly this time is because it's just SARS, and we've already been working on SARS vaccines for 20 years.
And also mRNA vaccines specifically. Yeah. We've been working on mRNA vaccines and mRNA technology for a long time. It was actually, I think it was originally cancer research, which actually now is producing some pretty cool results because of COVID vaccines and the trials we got with them. But I still 100% support science, common sense, everything I learned in school about biology and medicine and how vaccines work, how viruses work. None of this is at odds with me. Unlike most folks in the MAGA camp, I do not think that Fauci is like the godhead figurehead, the Lord of all that is science and vaccines and everything that has to do with the pandemic. All 100% rests on his shoulders alone. He's a great scientist, and he worked for several administrations and did
He's a great scientist. So just to stop you real quick, so you. Yeah. Just to check in, so on your rant here, you feel good about taking the vaccine. So if you had to do it again, you would do it again.
I literally do it every year.
Yeah, I get a booster
you're
once or twice a year, and I will continue to do so as a good citizen. The same way I do with my flu shot. Yeah, I get my flu shot and my COVID shot every year. Sometimes I do the 6 months if there's like a new crazy variant or whatever like that, but that's pretty rare. And I'm friends with several doctors and epidemiologists and whatnot.
So having the man who mandated the guy in court and he will not answer a single question about the stuff that you guys chose to put in your body because they put the fear of God in you about
he doesn't have to.
Cold that went around for a little while. And you guys still are so brainwashed that you feel good about that decision because I find that incredibly hard to believe.
Just to address all the straw man and talking points that you just put. Just to address all the straw man and talking points you put in
You're talking about a vaccine you put in your body. And it's hilarious to me that you think.
Just to be clear, I didn't put it in there. Some doctors put it in there with needles. I didn't self-administer. But just to be clear about this, it's not a cold.
You fell for the
it's just a SARS virus. I know how vaccines work, and I know how viruses work, and I know how immune systems work.
Are you guys still wearing a mask outside too?
I'm going to continue answering the question that you had before. I'm going to continue answering the question you asked a minute ago first, before you defer to the next thing, the next fun talking point you want to jump to.
You're going to leave it on, but you're just going to say it was because the doctors told me to. That's adorable.
Nope, I'm not at all. I'm actually going to continue talking with what my actual position is, rather than the straw men that you continue to prop up here. So, just again, trying to go through everything here. Wasn't a cold.
Run away from
I haven't run away from everything. You can continue to interrupt me and say the shit that you want me to say, or I can answer your questions. What would you like to happen? Would you like to have the conversation you're trying to have, or an actual conversation with somebody who actually knows what we're talking about here? What are you trying to go for here?
It's hard to listen from advice from someone who has a vaccine and is still happy about it with what the hindsight looks like today.
Haven't given you any advice yet. Haven't given you any advice.
Yeah.
You asked me for
Well,
my
you're telling
position.
me how I'm wrong
I am in the
because
middle.
I haven't put it in my book.
I am in the middle of giving you the answer to the question you asked, and you have piled on 10 different layers of new shit that you would like me to address. So would you like me to address the questions, or are you just here to put out a bunch of weird-ass anti-vax talking points?
I'm not anti-vax whatsoever, but go ahead.
Great. So if you're not anti-vax, then we should be able to have a proper conversation about this. First of all, it wasn't a cold. So COVID is a class 4 virus. Because I know what those are and what those do and why they work and how vaccines work and how mRNA works, because I am comfortable with this knowledge, I was able to make an informed decision about whether or not to get vaccinated. And I chose to do so, and I still think that it's the right thing to do. I have yet to have any significant reason to tell me that it was the wrong thing to do, any more than I feel like it was wrong to get a flu shot, an HPV shot, a hepatitis shot, a meningitis shot, or any other vaccine that I have gotten over the course of my life. And I've gotten a fuck ton of them. They're super fun. I literally just go to the doctor and tell them what disease I don't want to have, and they give me a vaccine, and I don't get that disease. It's
oh yeah,
fucking
you do all
fabulous.
kinds of crazy travel, so you got to get all kinds of weird vaccines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
God, I get so many. I get so many shots. I've got yellow fever. I got tuberculosis shots. I get rabies. I get tetanus. I get all of them. It's great.
You don't know anyone that had COVID after getting vaccinated?
Oh my God.
Now
Bill,
again,
please.
Because of what I just said, that I know how vaccines work, that kind of talking point doesn't bother me. Because a vaccine, if you understood this topic, you would understand, a vaccine
Even though you
doesn't
just said they give me a shot, so I don't get it anymore. That's literally what you just said out of your mouth.
Please, because this is, I talk about this all the time. I'm literally so passionate about this topic.
I'm quoting you directly, Forrest.
Bill.
Yeah.
So what we're talking
I'll
about,
answer him in a minute.
When we're trying to drill in on how does a vaccine work and you needing to
know
know
how a
that
vaccine
information,
works.
shut the fuck up. I'm literally trying to get in on this conversation for the very first time.
No, you're
Please
talking
let me say
down
what I
to
need
me.
to say. Well, you just said something that was very, very obviously wrong, and I'm trying to get into why I think it's wrong. What you
Forrest
just said was
out of his
shut
mouth
up,
he gets
Bill.
vaccines,
my
so
God,
he
Bill.
does not get
You
diseases.
literally
Did you not
don't
just
know
hear
how to
what
have a
he
conversation.
just said?
Bill, I can answer that for you, but this is yet again, you asked a question, a host is starting to answer it, and you are running into some other fucking tangent. I can explain why I said that and what I meant by that and why your rebuttal makes no fucking sense. But right now, Lux is trying to speak to you about something, so you need to close your mouth and open your ears and listen, otherwise we're gonna have to put you on mute and treat you like a fucking 12-year-old. Don't make us do that. Just listen.
Just go for it.
Bill,
I'm listening.
Yes. What you just said, what I heard you say was that you asked like, oh, so you don't know anybody who caught COVID after they got the vaccine, which to me implies that what you think is that when you get a vaccine, it prevents you from getting sick. That is not how a vaccine works. A vaccine basically is like you're showing your immune system a picture of the guy who you don't want in the club. But he still can get in the club. It's not like we're repelling him outside. We're giving this picture to the bouncer inside the club. So if the guy gets in the club,
more effective.
You know, okay, we're gonna kick that guy out. Okay, if we were preventing the guy from getting into the club in the first place, that would be a prophylactic like wearing a mask, which I do still wear a mask because all of the evidence that has continued to come out over the last 6 years, has shown us that catching COVID over and over again is really fucking bad for you. In every possible conceivable way. Like, think of the scariest medical event that you would not want to have to deal with, and COVID probably makes it worse, or makes it more likely or something. So yeah, it is ridiculous of you, Bill, to say something like, oh, you never know anybody who caught COVID after. It only prevents you from getting severely ill. The vaccine doesn't prevent you from contracting COVID if you breathe it in.
It's analogous to
Am I allowed
an
to talk?
airbag or a Not quite
okay,
yet.
got
It's
it.
analogous to an airbag or a seatbelt in your car. It doesn't prevent you from getting in an accident. It just makes you less likely to be severely injured or die from that accident. And then you add on extra layers like power steering and assisted braking and all these other things that make the accident less likely. You protect your body on the inside and on the outside. That's how basic fucking virology, epidemiology, all these things we talk about like how not to get sick, that's how the shit works. Now, as for what I said, when I said I go to the doctor, I tell them what disease I don't want, and then I don't get that. I thought it was pretty fucking obvious that I was being hyperbolic. If that was a bit too complicated, I apologize to you. I don't think there's anybody else in the world that would hear me say that and think that was a 100% accurate factual statement, considering the fact that I can't get a vaccine for every single possible disease, and that's not how vaccines work. And I was just saying, what I meant was it's significantly less likely that I get sick, and if I do get sick, it's significantly less likely that I get hurt or die. But that was really long, and so I made a silly little statement to say I just say what disease I don't want and get a vaccine for it, even though that isn't how anything works. I was being facetious. Facetious sounds a bit like Fauci. So that's why I did it, because he's my savior, my Lord, Fauci.
Yeah.
Now you may respond, Bill. Hopefully it'll be in good faith.
Thank you, Your Highness. And the reason I made a hyperbolic comment, like, oh, you didn't know anyone that got COVID after they got vaccinated, was because of your hyperbolic comment saying you get vaccines and then you get them so you don't catch disease, because I know how a vaccine works. So, sir, with all due respect, when two people are going on a tangent against me saying I don't know how a vaccine works because I made a hyperbolic statement to a hyperbolic statement, does that make sense to the two of you why I said that?
Yes, considering the fact that the entire rest of the call was a bunch of loaded language that is used by people who deny the reality of the COVID pandemic or say that masks and vaccines, specifically the COVID vaccines, don't work, and that Fauci is some sort of horrible criminal doctor that created a virus to kill people and create political control and all these. The rhetoric you used for the rest of the call was happened to fit very clearly with the kind of language of people who take that sort of thing seriously. So yes, I think that was a very appropriate response from the two hosts of this show who deal with crazy people like that. When you talk with crazy people like that, we treat you like a crazy person like that. Yeah.
I don't think anything I said was quote unquote crazy. I was asking for hindsight opinions from two people who did choose to get a vaccine that is now being discussed on a national, global level. And the person who was behind a lot of it
the whole time
literally will not talk
the whole
about
time.
it. So all I was doing, friends,
he doesn't
was
have
asking how you guys feel. And Forrest, you told me how you feel. And Lex, you told me how you feel. I actually haven't told you.
I haven't told you how I felt.
You have.
I haven't told you how I
believe in science. You still believe in vaccines, and you still would do it again.
I started to answer your question.
So I am good.
I started to answer your question, Bill, and you interrupted me several times with a bunch of other shit.
Out in public. And I don't think that's where this can end.
Because I care about the lives of disabled and immunocompromised
probably
people.
In your car with the windows up going down the highway as well. So we're just
hey,
on,
Bill, have you ever
level.
taken an OSHA class? Do you know anything about OSHA?
Different brain levels, and that's okay.
Okay, so I'm asking you a direct question, Bill. Do you know anything about OSHA?
I know what OSHA is. I'm certainly
so
not.
I'm going to tell you as a person who is a 30-hour OSHA certification that's going to last my entire life. I know a lot about personal protective equipment.
30 hours?
Yeah, it's like one of the
30
highest
hours?
It's like one of the highest like OSHA certifications that you can have. So anyway, I took a course.
30 hours for a lifetime.
I took a course explaining safety. Can you shut the fuck up? Actually, you are such an annoying little asshole. Oh my God. So the thing is that with personal protective equipment, you're not supposed to repeatedly take it off and put it back on again, especially if the thing that you're touching is covered in a deadly disease that you're trying not to catch and breathe in. Even if you were just shut the fuck
You're
up.
still calling
Hey,
COVID
no. I'm
Oh
literally
my
done
God.
hearing any of the words that you have to say. You're
Literally,
muted. I'm
you
tired of hearing
cannot
you.
let someone explain something that they have expertise in. Jesus fucking Christ. You've got someone explaining PPE from a government fucking certification that they got from it. And then I'm giving you my position as a fucking biologist with training in this area. And neither one of us has been capable of explaining ourselves in full on one single point because you will not shut the fuck up. This is why you believe the dumb shit you do, Bill, is because you talk more than you listen. Now Lux is going to continue what they were saying, and they're going to explain to you why what they're saying is relevant. Not the hours required to take the OSHA course, but why the specific information that they are trying to give you is specifically relevant for this specific situation. They didn't call COVID a deadly disease. They said when you are dealing with a deadly disease, this is what you do, and your snowflake ass got triggered. Shut the fuck up and listen, and you'll hear what they're trying to say and why they're trying to say it. When they're done, I'm then going to explain some shit to you, and then maybe we'll let you back on to talk. But so far, you have proven yourself to be too fucking emotional for this conversation. So now two people with training and expertise in this area are going to continue to explain what we went to school for, and you can listen if you try real hard. Lux, please continue.
Yeah, so I respond to this criticism of like, oh, I bet you still wear a mask in the car. Yes, because I've taken an OSHA class, like one of the ones that you have to spend quite a while learning shit, and then it's like you have a lifetime like confirmation you have done these courses and you think about safety differently now forever. So I think about safety differently than most people, and you're not supposed to repeatedly take off and put on personal protective equipment, especially if, like I said, there is a deadly disease on the thing. And yes, COVID is a deadly disease. Suck my dick about it. You don't want to touch that and then potentially touch your face or potentially put yourself in a situation where you're breathing it in. Even if, and this is what I was about to say, even if you were only wearing a mask because you have really severe allergies, you would not want to take it off because you're like flipping a bunch of allergens into the air when you do that. And so you do
right around your face because that's where you're taking it off
on your face. Yeah. So actually, when we're talking about respiratory illness safety or respiratory, anything you don't want to breathe in, whether that's sawdust or whatever, you don't want to repeatedly don and doff your personal protective equipment. So yes, if you see me driving around in my car with my mask on, it's because that's the correct thing to do. Because
I'd also
I'm
put
doing
out
the
there
correct
like.
thing.
Right, and even if that isn't the case, like I don't wear it in the cars. I pop it on and off all day, which I guess isn't right. But at the end of the day,
Hand sanitizer.
I use hand sanitizer all the fucking time.
Yeah,
and also, I'm not going to judge, even if nothing that you just said was reasonable. I'm not going to judge somebody for doing that because maybe they're just fucking stressed out from going to place to place and they fucking forgot for a second, and maybe that's a comfort to them at this point because they were fucking worried about it. Maybe they are the immunocompromised or severely disabled person that I'm trying to protect by masking myself.
Yeah.
And even then, you could and probably should criticize some of my masking behaviors. Not Bill. Bill doesn't know what the fuck anything is. But I'm talking about other people who know more about this stuff because I usually only mask up when I'm on like public transport. I mask at the airport. I mask on buses and trains, things like that. But if I'm just out and about in an open air area, I don't often do it. And I don't often do it at conventions either. And I leave it to people to tell me. I carry a mask on me usually. And I'm like, hey, if you need me to wear this, I'm happy to do so. That's questionable. You could challenge that and be right to do so. It's a middle ground that I strike because of my job and because of what I do and stuff like that. And everything is worthy of criticism forever. I think this is an interesting conversation to have with people who know what they're talking about. But unfortunately, what we have here is Bill, who's literally just up here saying, well, Fauci won't answer questions about this stuff. Did Fauci develop the vaccine all by himself and then mandate that every person must take it? No, he fucking didn't. He was out here helping us learn more about what was going on at the speed of science. And a bunch of people who don't know what science is and don't know how science works got really frustrated with him because he said contradictory things. Because he and the rest of the health department would come out and say, on one day, the CDC would say, this is the best practice, don't wear masks, because we need those for healthcare professionals. And then the next day they said, hey, fucking, we need to be wearing masks, you need to be social distancing. And a bunch of people who didn't understand what just happened got really mad and grew a bunch of conspiracy theories about it and said these people are all incompetent and don't know what they're doing. What happened in all of these situations was we learned new things. We got new opportunities. We developed new treatments and new interventions. And we kept you updated on new information. That's what happens in science. You got to learn for 1 second, for just a few months, you experienced what it's like in the world of science. Hey, this was the information we had. We gained new information. We need to be doing this thing now. That's what we all are used to. That's what we're all dealing with, especially in biomed. We all know this happens all the fucking time. And most people in the public couldn't handle it because you're used to the kind of dogmatic ass thinking that makes you vote Republican, if we're being perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So here we are now with trying to address the original things we talked about. You asked if I was comfortable with the vaccine. Damn right. Because I know how vaccines work. I know that how important they are. I know how important herd immunity is. I know how important it is for me to keep other people safe. It's not the same thing as saying, I wear my seatbelt to make sure that person over there doesn't die. That's not how it works, right? It's actually functionally protecting not just myself, but other people around me by stopping the spread of a pathogen. I also know that while COVID does have a very high survivability rate, surviving isn't the same thing as thriving. And we know now that COVID is really good at destroying small vascular tissue, really good at hurting your brain, really good at fucking up your lungs for the rest of your life. We have case after case of what we call long COVID of people who got what seemed at the time to be a benign disease, and still it fucks them up for life. I got it once, yes, after I was vaccinated. Isn't that crazy? Hank Green, of all fucking people, gave it to me. The son of a bitch.
What an asshole.
But I got COVID, which means Amber got COVID because we live in the same house together and I'm breathing on her all day. I felt like I was hit by a fucking train for a week. She didn't even notice she was sick until she took a test just to check. Mm-hmm. It hits people differently. That's what it does. And if somebody is disabled, if somebody is immunocompromised, if somebody already has a lung disease like emphysema, COPD, whatever, it absolutely can be fucking life-threatening. And even people who aren't sick with it, we still had a shitload of death, way more than it needed to be. The pandemic could have been something if everybody got social distanced properly, if everybody masked up properly, if people just stayed the fuck home for a minute and we had a government with some fucking balls that would just pay people a living wage for no work for 2 months to make sure everybody can stay the fuck home, and we just killed it.
Yeah, it would just be gone.
We would have spread that out. It's a really simple thing. You can see, actually, I can draw a graph for you here, where we have on the y-axis here is the number of people who are sick, and on the x-axis here we have time. Is that coming in frame there? Yes. And so we have this dotted line here is the amount of people that our medical system can take care of. The amount of people that we can accommodate at any one, the amount of hospital beds we have, the amount of doctors we have, the amount of resources we have. We could have just spread this out over a long time, and it would have been just fine. Everybody would have been all right. But instead, we got this bullshit-ass spike, which went way above what we were able to accommodate. And that's why we have those still horrific fucking images of goddamn refrigerated trucks outside of hospitals just to store all the fucking bodies. So at the end of the day, yes, I am quite happy that I did my part to protect the people around me. And even if somehow you could convince me that this vaccine was not safe and not effective, good fucking luck, by the way, because the data is overwhelmingly against you on that. But if somehow you could demonstrate to me that actually this vaccine is some horrible, I'm still fucking proud of the fact that I stepped up and did what was best, in my opinion, at the time, based on the information that I had, not just from the government and Fauci, but from my years of fucking training in biology that showed me how this shit works. Because the mRNA thing makes sense, the vaccines make sense, masks make sense, washing your hands makes sense, social distancing makes sense. Whether you believe in this vaccine or not, all of those things are undeniably ways to stop a fucking respiratory virus from spreading. And if you think they're not, you're just fucking stupid. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's the long and short of it there. If you don't think that these things stop the spread of a respiratory virus, whether or not you believe in anything else, you're just not smart enough to have this fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, thanks,
I could go on and on, but I don't think it's worth it. Because
we gotta send the
holy
people.
Shit, dude.
We got to send the people over. I relish an opportunity to talk about COVID and do more education because yes, y'all should still be wearing masks, especially in public, crowded places. But yeah.
Public
anyway,
transit is the biggest one for me because literally
airplanes
not
and shit,
only is it a crowded place, but you are a vector. You're moving from one place to the next.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Try to spread less shit when you go to the next place. You know what I mean? That's the big, and especially you're around all those people, so you're spreading it to all those people, and then they're going to other places too. Duh. Like, just. And literally, fucking every Fox News host you listen to, Trump, every member of Congress, they're all vaxxed and boosted. They're all fucking vaxxed and boosted. You better believe it. And fucking Donald Trump is the one who oversaw Project Warp Speed to make the vaccine that fast. When you all complain, oh, it happened so fast, they made it so fast. Trump is the one who oversaw that, and Trump is the one who put out a press statement saying this. When Biden was in office, when the vaccines were going out, Trump put out a press release saying, this vaccine that I created, this beautiful vaccine that I am responsible for. Remember, when you get that amazing vaccine that I am the one who created, he took credit for it, and he took it. Fucking loser behavior.
Yeah, for sure. Well, okay, we got to go, everybody. Stick around, though, because there's another show coming up next. It's The Line Has a Podcast being revamped with Jimmy and Jovan. Get over there to see the new stuff that they're doing. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.